Chapter 1064. Boys should learn to protect themselves when they're out. Chapter 1064. Chapter 376. Boys should learn to protect themselves when they're out. You can't possibly be deceiving me? Yun Wansheng's voice was icy and authoritative, yet carried a seductive charm. How dare I deceive my senior? In no more than half a month, senior will see the truth for herself. Lu Changsheng's voice came out dry. The current situation was awkward and unbearable, like playing a game of inch stop, making him extremely uncomfortable. He thought to himself that one day, he would definitely make the other party experience this feeling. Yun Wansheng bit her red lip. Everything had started, and then the spirit-nurturing energy was gone. But for such matters, she couldn't very well just wait stiffly for half a month. The elixir medicines she had previously administered to Lu Chongqing would likely make it difficult for him to hold out for half a month. Thinking of her own sun-moon samsara technique, Yun Wansheng's voice was cold with a hint of allure. You practice the sun-moon samsara technique. Ah! Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing was totally stunned, almost crashing mentally. Regarding the sun-moon samsara technique, only he, Xiaoxia, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and Bai Ling were aware. How could she know about the sun-moon samsara technique? Wait. This cultivation technique was bestowed upon Shi Yu by the Kai Yun True Immortal. So apart from himself and the others, Kai Yun True Immortal also knew. Kai Yun True Immortal. At that moment, it was as though a lightning bolt struck Lu Changsheng's mind. He remembered the scene in the Soul Path Dreams, where the core formation girl in the dream was one and the same with Shi Yu's master, Kai Yun True Immortal. Back when he went to register at Qing Yun's sect, Lady Meng gave him trouble, but Kai Yun True Immortal helped him out. Also, during the visit with Xiao Shi to ask Kai Yun True Immortal for her hand in marriage, she refused to show herself and was hostile, insisting on getting rid of him. Previously, Lu Chongqing hadn't thought much of it and only found it strange. Now, piecing everything together, he suddenly realized, the core formation girl he was currently dual cultivating with was Shi Yu's master, Kai Yun True Immortal? This. At that moment, Lu Chongqing simply didn't know what to say. He could only express his feelings through his actions. His immobilized body felt like it was electrocuted. All his pores dilated, and he felt incredibly comfortable. Even the fierce flood dragon seemed to become a bit more honest at this moment. Senior, my mana is currently restricted. I can't practice. Lu Chongqing feigned ignorance and spoke with a somewhat dry voice. He could roughly guess why shed covered his eyes and divine sense. This situation was somewhat embarrassing to discuss. But the more it was like this, the more Lu Chongqing wanted to see the ravishing sight of the other party. To the point of thinking of a phrase. Real immortal, you wouldn't want Shi Yu to know about our affair either, right? However, under the current circumstances, he still didn't dare to be cheeky. Feeling that he could use his mana again, Lu Chongqing immediately practiced the sun-moon samsara technique. As his mana was released and the cultivation technique activated, Lu Chongqing managed to move slightly. The elixir medicines he had taken earlier felt as if they had merged into his mana, intensifying the restlessness within him. Especially since he realized the person he was intimately connected with was Shi Yu's master. Lu Chongqing found it even harder to control himself. Humming, within the cave, the air was filled with the aura of spring, while an image of the sun and moon appeared over Lu Chongqing and Yun Wansheng's heads. Time slowly passed by. Lu Chongqing dejectedly practiced the sun-moon samsara technique over and over again. Several days later, Lu Chongqing thought it was over. But after a while, the hot and soft body against his chest took a pause and then fed him another pill. Lu Chongqing wanted to say, Master, there really is no need for this. I'm willing to cooperate. Moreover, if he could take the initiative, the effects might even be doubled. Even though he knew the other person was Kai Yun True Immortal and meant him no harm, he still didn't dare to be cheeky now. He was terrified of provoking her. Vengeance of a gentleman can wait 10 years. Lu Chongqing muttered in his heart, marking today's humiliation. He swore to repay it 10-fold, 100-fold in the future. The sun and moon continued their cycle, filling the cave mansion with a hazy spring atmosphere, both of their bodies and minds sinking deeper and deeper. Chapter 1065. Third Stage Body Refinement. Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Chapter 1065. Chapter 377. Third Stage Body Refinement. Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. In the quiet darkness of the secret chamber, Lu Chongqing slowly opened his eyes. His robes were neat and tidy, with no one else nearby. The previous events felt like a dream. But Lu Chongqing was very clear that everything he had experienced these past few days wasn't a dream, but truly existed. Is it over just like that? Don't we still need the yin-yang energies? Lu Chongqing could feel the mana flowing inside his body, and a sense of loss and disappointment unknowingly crept into his heart. If you want to cultivate, there are spiritual medicines and elixir medicines inside the storage bag next to you. At this moment, a cold yet pleasant voice, intermixed with a hint of authority and indifference from a superior, rang out. Lu Chongqing was startled by these words and saw an ordinary-looking storage bag placed next to the pillow. He picked up the storage bag and glanced inside. Inside were heavenly and earthly treasures that nourished the physical body, and the essence of virility, along with precious elixir medicines. Lu Chongqing looked at these spiritual medicines and elixir medicines, his face stiffening. Although such dual cultivation practices had brought him nothing but benefits, to think that such an act would reduce Lu someone to this? Shame. A blatant shame. Sooner or later, he, Lu someone, would let her know that his younger brother was unmatched in this world. However, a true man is flexible and endures what others cannot. Lu Chongqing calmly took out a stock of spiritual medicine from the storage bag and consumed it. In a few days, they had to continue dual cultivation, and it was indeed necessary to replenish his body. Moreover, it was a gift from an elder that couldn't be declined. Considering the other party as his elder, as his master, was there a problem in giving him a generous reward for his hard work? This wasn't some sordid affair with compensation afterward. In another secret chamber within the cave, the spiritual eye spring, like a bathtub, was filled with a misty spiritual energy. Yun Wanshang's luscious black hair fell like a waterfall as her flawless body of a fairy submerged in this rare and precious spiritual spring, quietly feeling her own condition. Although she had not gained the ability to cultivate with spirit-nurturing energy and refine her true elixir this time, by using the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, she had finally mastered the technique known as the Virgin Samsara. The only problem was that Lu Chongqing's cultivation level was too low. Even after many days of combining yin and yang, it hadn't allowed her Virgin Samsara to advance further. To progress further in the Virgin Samsara, she needed a gradual accumulation of yin and yang interactions, and the cyclical rotation of the sun and moon. However, such things only had the distinction of either never happening or happening countless times. After taking this first step, Yun Wanshang felt much more at ease with Lu Chongqing. After all, she was doing this for the great Tao. How could a little romantic affection compare to solidifying her nascent soul? And through these days of riding, her thoughts had become much clearer. I wonder if what he said is true. Yun Wanshang thought of what Lu Chongqing had said before, indicating that his Tao foundation could produce an aura similar to that of spirit-nurturing energy. If there really was a similar effect, and her half-step golden core advanced to a high-quality golden core, and then a first-grade golden core, then the nascent soul would no longer be far-fetched, and she would have the prospect of becoming the second nascent soul true lord in Jiang country. Half a month. Yun Wanshang glanced at Lu Chongqing in the neighboring room and then closed her beautiful eyes again, submerging her flawless body in the spiritual eye spring. Yin-yang energies have recovered. Should I give a heads up? That day, Lu Chongqing saw that the yin-yang energies in his Tao foundation had recovered and thought about whether to remind his master. But considering she obviously couldn't let go, and even had to keep hold of her cold tone during their deeply intimate interactions, he decided not to say anything. In the end, she would come over on her own. Moreover, if he actively reminded her, wouldn't that make it seem like he was enjoying it, eagerly awaiting her arrival? Thus time passed, not knowing how much had elapsed. Lu Chongqing heard some movement and opened his eyes to look. However, before he could see clearly, darkness enveloped him, and he was unable to move. Damn it, not again! Lu Chongqing was speechless in his mind. He was willing to cooperate, so why must it be like this? In no time, Lu Chongqing felt himself being stripped naked. Then, a sweet and fragrant elixir pill entered his mouth. With a delightful scent and soft enchanting body against him, Lu Chongqing's blood began to surge, his desire for battle rising. After a long while, Lu Chongqing felt someone riding on top of him. Yun Wanshang's beautiful face flushed like the dawn, her elegant figure straddling above Lu Chongqing's midsection. As the yin-yang energies entered her body, she could immediately sense the aura of her spirit-nurturing energy. This strand of yin-yang energies twirled with her true elixir, gradually adding a glint of golden patterns to her true elixir embellished with golden core charm. This? Yun Wansheng slightly tilted her head back, her dazed beautiful eyes revealing a surprised hue. She lowered her gaze slightly towards Lu Chongqing in front of her. Unexpectedly, just like he described, his Dao foundation could produce an aura similar to her spirit-nurturing energy. Within this aura, in addition to her spirit-nurturing energy, she also felt a yin-yang source. Back then, Shiyu had asked me to craft a golden crow elixir. Yun Wansheng recalled that Xiao Shiyu had once asked her to craft a golden crow elixir as a token of gratitude, expressing her intention to help Lu Chongqing forge a Sun-Moon Dao foundation. It seemed now that due to some reason, Lu Chongqing had not forged a Sun-Moon Dao foundation. Instead, he had forged this Supreme Dao foundation, which was even more astonishing than the Sun-Moon Dao foundation. Thinking of this strand of yin-yang energies containing the origin source of disciple Xiao Shiyu, Yun Wansheng's heart trembled, inexplicably moved. Lu Chongqing naturally didn't know what Yun Wansheng was thinking. But at this moment, because everything before him was pitch black and he had no divine sense, his physical body was extremely sensitive to touch. Chapter 1066. Third Order Body Refining, Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Chapter 1066. Chapter 377. Third Order Body Refining, Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Peering cautiously, he distinctly sensed the firm tension in the other's jade-like body. This yin-yang energy shouldn't cause any trouble, right? Lu Chongqing hesitated in his heart. He knew full well how astonishing the effects of his yin-yang energies were. For foundation establishment and nascent soul cultivators, they were considered the most top-tier supreme spiritual objects. If he were to publicize this effect, many nascent soul female cultivators would immediately come knocking with hidden agendas. Now that he had granted Yun Wansheng the use of these yin-yang energies, it harbored some risks. But considering that the other party bore no ill intentions towards him and that he owed her the yin-yang energies, Lu Chongqing chose to trust her. Commence the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. Moments later, Lu Chongqing heard Yun Wansheng's suppressed charming yet icy tone. Although he wanted to protest vocally, Lu Chongqing, despite his reluctance, humbly circulated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. This session of dual cultivation lasted 3 days and nights. Although Lu Chongqing had sealed part of his qi, blood, and magical power, this level of dual cultivation still had no slight impact on him. In fact, when he awoke, he felt his mana had advanced further in potency. However, upon waking up to see, just as before, no one around, his clothes neat, and a storage bag lying next to him, Lu Chongqing sighed. What does this mean? Although he rather enjoyed it and was happy in it, being passive the entire time really wasn't fun. At least let himself take initiative a couple of times. Lu Chongqing remained silent for a long time, then with an innocent and pitiful look he said, "Senior, I wonder how long you still need to cultivate." Although he didn't mind helping the other cultivate, he couldn't be without any resistance, right? That would make him seem careless and without any dignity. 3 months. After a pause, Yun Wansheng's cool and regal voice resonated. Although 3 months was not enough to advance a true elixir to a golden core, it was enough for her virgin samsara technique to progress further. Moreover, she wasn't confining Lu Chongqing here to aid her cultivation. It was merely borrowing him to cultivate for a period. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing did not ask further. He took a spiritual medicine from the storage bag to replenish his vital energy. Dual cultivation on other aspects didn't have an impact, but such frequent dual cultivation really put a strain on his vital energy recovery. Thus, 3 months passed. Lu Chongqing was either recovering or engaging in dual cultivation. His entire being felt somewhat numb. It wasn't that the dual cultivation was uninteresting. The identity, status, and appearance of the other party still thrilled him considerably. But the problem was, 3 whole months. To start by covering his eyes and divine sense, then feeding him an elixir pill. This process could only be endured passively. What fun was there in this? Damn it, what goes around comes around. Don't underestimate the young for being poor. One day he, Mr. Lu, would blindfold her eyes and gag her mouth, and then... This thought had barely arisen when Lu Chongqing felt a surge of thrill. Then he quickly reined in his thoughts, lest Yun Wansheng notice. After all, her cultivation was profound and inscrutable. Her divine sense might be able to capture his emotions and thoughts. If she knew he harbored such thoughts, he'd be done for. When it's time to cultivate, I'll contact you through this jade slip. Also, I hope this matter remains secret. Yun Wansheng's voice was clear, noble, calm, and indifferent. Lu Chongqing, looking at the storage bag and jade slip in front of him, clearly understood her words. He knew this cultivation had not ended. She didn't want Xiaofan to know about this. Don't worry, Senior, I absolutely won't mention this matter to anyone. Lu Chongqing said somewhat weakly. The first time they'd met years ago, they'd exchanged similar words. But after these 3+ months of dual cultivation, their interactions had gained a certain mundanity. That's good to know. I won't take advantage of you. Should you encounter any trouble or need a core formation spiritual object, you can find me, Yun Wansheng continued. Soon after, Lu Chongqing sensed a divine rainbow leaving the cave. Lu Chongqing watched Yun Wansheng disappear, his mouth twitching. Have any trouble or need a core formation spiritual object, and come to find her? What did that mean? Was he to be one to live off others? He, Mr. Lu, was upright and self-reliant, always striving on his own effort. How could he be such a person? Phew! Lu Chongqing took a deep breath, tried not to overthink it, and left the cave. He glanced around to ascertain his location and then headed back toward Bihu Lake Mountain. 3 days later, Lu Chongqing returned home. Although he had not notified anyone of this trip and had been gone for so long, his family simply showed concern without delving deeper. After briefly inquiring about the current home situation, he went to the Chongqing Hall. He placed his hands in front of his chest, a 9-colored aurora flowing, releasing his sealed qi, blood, and magical power. Boom! In an instant, terrifying qi, blood, and magical power surged tumultuously, swelling ferociously. Lu Chongqing realized that his mana was nearing the peak of foundation establishment. And his physical Buddhist qi and blood were sufficient to break through to the 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. 3rd Order Body Refining. This day I have waited long. Lu Chongqing's lips curled upwards, and he immediately circulated his cultivation technique, starting to break through to the 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. This 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art was just a supplementary body refining technique, not his main path of body cultivation. Thus, advancing through realms did not require a 3rd order spirit vein. Reaching the corresponding level of physical body was sufficient. Rumble! In an instant, endless treasure light erupted and flowed from Lu Chongqing's flesh. A torrential and surging power galloped and rumbled through his limbs and bones, like a river bursting its dams. But in a moment, Lu Chongqing realized an issue. Chapter 1067. 3rd Order Body Refining. Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. Chapter 1067. Chapter 377. 3rd Order Body Refining. Dragon Light Commerce Chamber Attacks. His own Chongqing Hall was constructed from ordinary materials. Though it was reinforced by formations, now that he was attempting a breakthrough to the 3rd Order Body Refining, it wouldn't just turn his cave mansion inside out. It would also severely affect those in the hall, such as Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Bai Ling, and others. Mount Sumeru, Lu Chongqing called out. Yes, master. Mount Sumeru, who was on standby 24 hours a day, immediately responded, his voice ethereal and distant. A terrifying power from cave heaven enveloped Lu Chongqing, forming an invisible domain around him. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing nodded in satisfaction and continued to push through with all his might to reach the 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. Thud thud thud. As his blood surged violently throughout his body and his flesh shone with a treasured light, Lu Chongqing's heart began to beat faster. Like the drumming of gods and demons, it pounded audibly, setting off waves of a terrifying aura around him. After a long while, Lu Chongqing's face showed a touch of pain. His entire being seemed to be crushed into dust and particles. Every drop of his blood, every piece of his flesh, was undergoing a process of being tempered 1,000 times, 100 times over. The 9th layer of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 3rd Order Body Refining. His physical body could now compare to magical treasures. This was the transformation akin to a metamorphosis, an advancement of life. Boom boom boom. Clang clang clang. The roaring within Lu Chongqing's body was incessant, like a primeval volcano erupting. In the unknown, it seemed as if countless divine smiths were tempering his blood and bones, their clanging resonant. This process was extremely painful. Even though Lu Chongqing was well prepared, he was in so much pain that he felt on the verge of life and death, as though he was wavering between the two states. Yet, in this process of tempering, every inch of his skin, every bit of his flesh, seemed to be cast from immortal gold, dazzling and brilliant, with divine light shining in all directions. At the same time, a spirit boat approached the outskirts of White Tiger Mountain. There were a total of 3 people on board: an elder, a robust man, and a woman. The leader, an elder in a purple brocade robe, shouted toward White Tiger Mountain. "Where is the mountain lord of White Tiger Mountain? Who are you, and what brings you to White Tiger Mountain?" Soon after, Lu Qingsong, accompanied by the 9 Netherhound, arrived at the mountain gate, looking at the 3 people on the spirit boat, the purple-robed elder, and said in a deep voice, "I am Tao Jizhong, an elder of the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. A year ago, our young master was murdered by a demoness. According to our investigation, this woman is hiding in White Tiger Mountain. Please, Lu Mountain Lord, hand over this demoness promptly." The purple-robed elder stood tall with his hands behind his back, looking down at Lu Qingsong as he spoke. The air was filled with the Foundation Establishment's 6th-layer magic aura of his spiritual pressure. "What demoness? The Mountain Lord knows nothing of this. You from Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, are you using this as an excuse to provoke trouble at White Tiger Mountain?" Lu Qingsong spoke calmly. He was aware that the person the other party was referring to was his Dao companion, Lu Yan. After Lu Yan's confession, he had investigated the information and understood the situation as she had described. This woman goes by the name Lu Yan, and she is currently serving as a visiting noble servant at your White Tiger Mountain. We, the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, have no grudge against your Bihu Mountain, and we do not wish to harm the good relations. It would be best for you to hand over the demoness now, to prevent any damage to our amicable relations." Tao Jizhong continued sternly. He had come prepared with knowledge of the situation, and had also learned that the demoness who killed his chamber's young master had a significant relationship with Lu Qingsong. Therefore, his visit was also meant to test White Tiger Mountain. After all, it was shocking that years ago, White Tiger Mountain had somehow killed a Foundation Establishment cultivator. Lu Yan. Lu Qingsong's eyes narrowed upon hearing this, and he immediately knew that they had come prepared, making the situation difficult to amicably settle. "Indeed, we have such a visiting noble servant at White Tiger Mountain. But as for what your Dragon Light Commerce Chamber claims, I have never heard of it. Besides, White Tiger Mountain operates by rules. As long as one's background is clean and they are neither robber cultivators nor heretic cultivators, anyone who comes to White Tiger Mountain receives our protection, and all past grievances are dissolved. Therefore, whether this person exists or not, the matter is unrelated to White Tiger Mountain, Elder Tao. Please return to where you came from." Lu Qingsong, though just an energy-refining cultivator, stood unyielding before Tao Jizhong, a Foundation Establishment cultivator. After all, his father had previously indicated that the family didn't fear the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. Not long ago, when he returned to Bihu Mountain, Aunt Zi Xiao, having heard of the matter, had outrightly expressed that White Tiger Mountain, being mainly based at Golden Dragon Ridge, should not fear the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, even to the point of initiating a challenge. "So you're saying, White Tiger Mountain is looking to antagonize the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber?" Tao Jizhong said coldly. "At Bihu Mountain, we have always believed in harmony bringing wealth. We never offend others easily, nor do we fear them. If the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber is looking for trouble, we at Bihu Mountain are not afraid." Lu Qingsong spoke with a cold voice. Having witnessed his elder brother kill a Foundation Establishment cultivator with a single arrow, he truly did not fear what the other could do. Very well, what courage! Indeed, what immense courage!" Tao Jizhong looked at White Tiger Mountain and scoffed. "It seems that you really intend to cross paths with the Dragon Light Commerce Chamber." Instantly, a Foundation Establishment power magic aura emanated from the 3 people on the spirit boat. Though they were only 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators, they presented a formidable threat to White Tiger Mountain, which only had a second-order spiritual beast as its protector. Just then, from White Tiger Mountain, a tall and stalwart young man with a dignified face, carrying a girl about 13 or 14 years old on his shoulder, strode forward. "Big brother." Seeing Lu Pingon approaching, Lu Qingsong immediately felt a sense of backbone. Lu Pingon set down Lu Lingyi and addressed the 3 outside. "Now that Lu Yan has become a visiting noble servant of White Tiger Mountain, it would not be right to hand her over merely on your say-so. How would others view White Tiger Mountain afterwards? How about this? You and I shall duel. If you, Daoist, should win, I will hand over Lu Yan. But if I win, we shall drop this matter. What do you say? Lu Pingon had roughly overheard the situation and also knew about Lu Yan's circumstance. Not to mention Lu Yan's relationship with his younger brother. Even without that connection, they could not simply hand her over. After all, she was serving as a visiting noble servant seeking sanctuary in White Tiger Mountain. If a family couldn't offer protection, then inviting further visiting noble servants to their door would be difficult. With 3 people blocking the way, they needed to offer a solution. To strike outright seemed unreasonable, so it might be better to have a contest of strength. Such a method was common in both the secular world and the cultivation world for resolving disputes. Who are you? On the spirit boat outside White Tiger Mountain, Tao Jizhong scrutinized Lu Pingon and asked, Bihu Mountain, Lu Pingon. Chapter 1068. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. Chapter 1068. Chapter 378. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. By Lake Mountain, Lu Pingon? Tao Jizhong and his 2 companions had never heard this name before. At present, aside from Lu Chongxing, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and Lu Miaoyun, only individuals like Lu Yun and Lu Xianji from the Lu family were known due to managing family affairs. Someone like Lu Pingon, who had always been inconspicuous and never sought the spotlight, was not well known. Of course, it was also because Lu Chongxing had too many children for anyone to keep up with. Fine, since that's the case, let it be as you say. Tao Jizhong didn't hesitate much. He took a step forward, tread upon the void, and called out towards Lu Pingon. His purpose for coming here was not only due to Lu Yan's matter, but also to probe the situation at White Tiger Mountain. Now that Lu Pingon had come forward, it made him realize that the opponent was probably a trump card arranged by Lu Chongxing to preside over White Tiger Mountain. Even though he didn't understand where the other's confidence came from to make such a statement, he was confident in his own strength. Big brother, be careful. Lu Qingsong, hearing his older brother's words, remained silent. The cultivation world had always adhered to the law of the jungle, where talking about evidence was laughable. The other party had come entirely because they thought White Tiger Mountain was without a guardian. If Lu Yan were on by Lake Mountain, how could they dare be so brazen as to demand someone be handed over? The only thing he felt was amiss was that his big brother was too lenient. Even after winning, he actually didn't make these people pay a price. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked towards the 3 outsiders, appearing indifferent. Lu Pingon smiled and patted his younger brother's shoulder. Black dragon power circulated within him. Instantly, his tall and burly body was armored in elegantly lined, chillingly shimmering silver armor, adding an impressive and domineering aura of valor. Wow! Lu Lingyi, standing beside him, exclaimed in amazement at the sight of her big brother's armor. Big brother, that looks good! Knowing that her big brother was about to fight, she clenched her small fists and said in her childish voice, Big brother, you can do it. All right. Lu Pingon fondly ruffled his younger sister's head and answered with a warm smile. The other cultivators of White Tiger Mountain, upon seeing Lu Pingon, showed surprise and wonder. They hadn't expected the usually low-profile eldest son to be a foundation establishment cultivator. He has hidden his abilities well. By Lake Mountain actually has a foundation-building great cultivator. No wonder the Lu ancestor is reassured enough to entrust White Tiger Mountain to Lu Qingsong, an energy-refining cultivator, because they have this eldest son as their foundation. Could it be that when the robber cultivator attacked years ago, it was the eldest son who took action? The visiting noble servants and cultivators from the houses on White Tiger Mountain saw Lu Pingon adorned in silver armor, tall and commanding, and felt shocked. Now by Lake Mountain already possessed Lu Chongxing, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Zhao Qingqing, and Lu Miaoyun, 5 foundation-building great cultivators. And now, the eldest son at home had also broken through to foundation establishment. Such strength was indeed astonishing. Even when viewed across the entire Qingyun region, it was not to be underestimated. Moreover, now that a problem arose, this eldest son had come forward. Who knew if by Lake Mountain still had other hidden strengths? Daoist friend, please. Lu Pingon stepped forth from White Tiger Mountain, stood upright in midair facing Tao Jizhong, his spine straight as a mountain. Ayo! At this moment, the 9 Netherhound looked at the 3 outsiders, its massive body emanating a violent aura, and with a roar, it came to the side of Lu Pingon, snow-white teeth gleaming with a chilling luster. Among the entire Lu family, Lu Pingon had the best relationship with the Nine Netherhound. The two grew up together, from Qingzhou Mountain to Rui Prefecture, and then to Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain, often practicing together. Seeing that Lu Pingon was facing 3 opponents alone, the Nine Netherhound volunteered to protect its master. "So this is your confidence?" Tao Jizhong glanced at the fearsome Nine Netherhound, his expression slightly tense, believing that the opponent wanted to take him on with both man and beast at once. Over the years, the Nine Netherhound's presence on White Tiger Mountain had gained considerable fame. Everyone knew that this spiritual beast's strength was not inferior to a normal mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. "You and I shall fight alone. Xiao He will not take part." Lu Pingon shook his head lightly and gestured to the Nine Netherhound to step back. "Very well." Tao Jizhong's eyes narrowed slightly, he spoke no further, and summoned a purple-red flying dagger, which he sent cutting through the air towards Lu Pingon to test his strength. He wanted to see where Lu Pingon, at the initial stage of Foundation establishment, got the confidence to challenge him. Clang! Lu Pingon extended his right arm, his hand mimicked a grip, and a black, dark-as-ink black dragon halberd appeared in his hand, which he slashed forward. The heavyweight presence almost made the void collapse, deflecting the purple-red flying dagger away. A body-refining cultivator. Tao Jizhong immediately grasped where Lu Pingan's confidence arose from. Although he was only at the initial stage of Foundation establishment, his physical conditioning was noteworthy. Moreover, the black halberd in his hands was extraordinary, not your run-of-the-mill spiritual artifact. No wonder you dared to challenge this old man to fight technique. Indeed, you possess some strength. With that in mind, I shall not hold back. Tao Jizhong let out a long howl, and before him, 5 identical flying daggers appeared, tearing through the air and converging on Lu Pingon from different directions. Lu Pingan's black dragon halberd was as black as ink, contrasting starkly with his silver armor. As the great halberd swung in his hands, a powerful and domineering onslaught emerged, exuding such fearsome power that it amplified his already formidable presence. Clang! 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 The black dragon halberd roared like a flood dragon, filled with a fearful surge akin to the ocean's depths, repelling the 6 flying daggers that had been upon him. This! Tao Jizhong's expression tightened, surprised that Lu Pingan's body refinement strength was so extraordinary that he easily resolved his offensive attack. The 2 Foundation establishment cultivators accompanying him were equally astonished. Others might not be aware of Tao Jizhong's strength, but they knew it all too well. Chapter 1069. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. Chapter 1069. Chapter 378. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. Immersed in the middle stage of Foundation establishment for a long time, the 6 purple-een flying daggers had been dyed with the blood of many Foundation establishment cultivators. Yet now, they unexpectedly couldn't easily take down this junior at the initial stage of Foundation establishment. Big brother, why be polite with him? Just cut him down directly. What's the point of trying to reason with him like this? Lu Qingsong looked at the silhouette of his eldest brother's back, secretly pondering in his heart. Although he had previously seen Lu Pingon shoot and kill a Foundation establishment cultivator with an arrow, he knew his big brother's strength was no weaker than his opponent's. But seeing his big brother as a body-refining cultivator, not seizing the initiative and even letting the opponent strike first, he couldn't help shaking his head internally. Just then, Lu Pingon took the initiative to attack. He thrust forward with the black dragon halberd in his hand, and the pitch-black halberd blade tore through the void, chilling to the bone. Clang clang clang. Tao Jizhong hastily performed a gesture incantation with both hands, directing the 6 flying daggers to form an intricate formation and strike at Lu Pingon, countering the onslaught. Meanwhile, a bronze mirror appeared in his hand. Purple arcs surged within, casting their glow toward Lu Pingon. Unfazed by the assault, Lu Pingan's silver armor shone brilliantly. He continuously swung the black dragon halberd, stepping forward through the void with large strides. Boom boom boom! Each sweep of the great halberd, each step in the silver battle boots seemed to thunder through the void with a deafening rumble. It was as if he wasn't stepping through space but on a giant drum, making onlookers tremble in fear. Damn it! Seeing Lu Pingon drawing nearer, Tao Jizhong's face grew unsightly, aware that he had encountered a tough challenge. Purple lightning fire blade. He let out a long howl, his hands weaving signs, as the 6 purple-red flying daggers transformed into a gigantic purple-red blade. Crackle! The blade, shrouded in a layer of ominous dark red aura and jumping with purple arcs, launched an attack at Lu Pingon. Wind and thunder slash. Facing this strike, Lu Pingon saw threads of wind and lightning wrap around his black dragon halberd, emanating a terrifying aura. Then, like a flood dragon arising, he slashed the halberd forward, with wind and thunder rolling tumultuously. Bang bang bang! The great halberd and the giant blade collided, sparks flying, thunderbolts weaving, dazzling and blinding, sending a powerful current through the air that made everyone's hair stand on end. Immediately after, the purple lightning-een fire blade quivered with a buzz, its electrified aura dimming and dissipating, returning to the form of 6 purple-red flying daggers, which were repelled backwards. Boom! Confronting the after-effects of the black dragon halberd's force, Tao Jizhong hurriedly used the bronze mirror to block. However, caught off guard, he was utterly incapable of defending and was sent flying, spitting up blood. A nearby Foundation establishment cultivator quickly soared into the sky, catching Tao Jizhong with mana, and spoke to Lu Pingon with a wary expression. Daoist friend, we admit defeat, we will leave now. Do you wish to fight again? Lu Pingon looked toward Tao Jizhong and spoke out. Daoist friend is exceptionally strong. I concede. As you said, let this matter rest, Tao Jizhong said, his face pale and weak. As a well-known Foundation establishment cultivator who had readily lost to a junior at the initial stage of Foundation establishment, he felt his honor was tarnished. But from their brief encounter, he had realized the extent of Lu Pingan's strength. The strength of body cultivation combined with 2 top-grade spiritual artifacts made for an invincible frontal assault. Unless he had avoided direct confrontation with the opponent from the start, continuing to exhaust and entangle, then perhaps there was a chance to win. But as a peak mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator facing a junior at the initial stage, even if he did win, it would be embarrassing. However, to have gleaned such a piece of news is already enough, Tao Jizhong consoled himself. Your magnanimity is appreciated. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingon sheathed the black dragon halberd and bowed with a fist. Shoo, he won just like that. So the eldest son's strength is so formidable. By Lake Mountain, Lu Pingon. It's a good thing we haven't dared to be disloyal these years. The cultivators from White Tiger Mountain watched this scene in shock, disbelieving as they looked at Lu Pingon. Especially the cultivators from the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, Ning family, and Mo family from earlier years. They hadn't expected Lu Chongqing to hide so deep. He had even stationed such a son in White Tiger Mountain. If any of them harbored ill intentions, wanting to make a move against White Tiger Mountain, they would probably face a great downfall. 7th brother, keep an eye on things here. Just then, as Lu Qingsong saw the situation outside, he immediately handed the array plate to Lu Xianji, clenched the vermilion bird ring talisman in his hand, and flew out of White Tiger Mountain. Approaching Tao Jizhong and his departing companions, his expression indifferent, he said, Is Elder Tao planning to leave just like this? Huh. Everyone looked at Lu Qingsong, unaware of what he intended to do. Even Lu Pingon was somewhat puzzled as he looked at his younger brother. Big brother, letting them leave so easily, if word gets out, others might think we're easy to bully at White Tiger Mountain. Moreover, our aunt has left instructions that if the Jin family or Dragonlight Commerce Chamber come visiting, there is no need to show mercy. Lu Qingsong immediately explained to his big brother through transmission. He knew his big brother was generous, opting for a measured response to avoid escalating the situation. But now that they had the upper hand, how could he possibly let the trio leave so easily? Does Lu Mountain Lord have any more matters to attend to? Tao Jizhong looked at Lu Qingsong and spoke in a heavy tone. Now that Miss Lu Yan's matter has been settled, you 3 came to cause trouble at White Tiger Mountain and should provide an explanation as well, shouldn't you? Otherwise, if word gets out, others might think that at White Tiger Mountain one can come and go as they please. Although Lu Qingsong was only an energy-refining cultivator, he was not intimidated facing 3 Foundation establishment cultivators. With his big brother present, having the 9 Netherhound, their family's great formation, and his own life-saving talismans and talisman treasures, there was no way the trio could harm him. Chapter 1070. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. Chapter 1070. Chapter 378. Victory, eldest son of the Lu family. As soon as these words were spoken, Not only did Tao Jizhong and the other two change their expressions, but even the people from White Tiger Mountain looked at each other in disbelief. No one expected their mountain master to be so overbearing. A mere qi refining cultivator demanding an explanation from 3 foundation establishment cultivators. Xian Yu, Xiao Xiao. Seeing the situation, Lu Xianji immediately activated the mountain protection array and instructed his son and the family guard squad to prepare. Besides having Lu Pingon stationed at White Tiger Mountain, Lu Xianji also possessed 2 second-rank puppets and a guard squad. This guard squad was each equipped with a first-order top-grade puppet, making their combat strength considerable. An explanation. What sort of explanation does Mountain Lord Lu want? Tao Jizhong was instantly enraged, his face darkening as he suppressed the fury in his heart. If Lu Pingon had spoken to him, he wouldn't have been so angry. But a mere qi refining cultivator dared to speak to him like this. Sever an arm, and well consider the matter settled. Lu Qingsong said with a chilling expression. You little brat, courting death. Tao Jizhong immediately flew into a rage, Foundation establishment spiritual pressure surging as he prepared to attack Lu Qingsong. It wasn't just him. The 2 Foundation establishment cultivators beside him also had their Foundation establishment power ready to strike. Humph! Lu Pingon snorted coldly, standing tall in front of his brother, holding the black dragon halberd and clad in silver armor, looking at the 3 men. Although he didn't want to escalate the situation, at this point, he couldn't just stand by and watch. Boom! The White Tiger Mountain array surged, like a fierce tiger enthroned, overlooking the 3 men. What, you want to make a move? This is White Tiger Mountain territory. Since you dare to cause trouble here, you must be prepared for the consequences. If you don't give White Tiger Mountain an explanation today, I will report this matter to my father and demand an explanation from your Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. By then, severing an arm will be the least of your worries. Lu Qingsong infused spiritual power into the vermilion bird ring talisman in his hand, releasing its aura, and said coldly, Roar! Not far away, the 9 netherhounds stared at the 3 men, its fangs chilling, letting out a low growl that struck fear into their hearts. The 3 of them looked at the situation grimly. They hadn't expected such a small matter today to make them so passive. If it weren't for Lu Pingon, a mere qi refining cultivator like Lu Qingsong wouldn't dare speak to them this way, and they'd just slap him away. But the current situation left them in a difficult position. These spirit stones will serve as an apology. Finally, one of the Foundation establishment cultivators took a deep breath, took out a storage bag, and tossed it to Lu Qingsong. Not enough. Lu Qingsong took the storage bag, didn't even glance at it, and stated flatly. In the past, a Foundation establishment robber cultivator caused trouble at White Tiger Mountain and ended up a corpse for 3 months. Today I'm letting you sever an arm. It's already giving face to Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. Although my brothers and I can't keep all 3 of you here, we can certainly keep 1 or 2. Lu Qingsong pushed the vermilion bird ring talisman in his hands to the limit, ready to activate at any moment. For a moment, the 3 of them were stuck. All right, Mountain Lord Lu Chongqing has truly found successors. Today I admit defeat. Tao Jizhong looked at Lu Pingon and Lu Qingsong with a cold voice. He directly brought out a flying dagger, severed one of his own arms, blood spraying, his face pale, his spirit weak and depleted. Humph, get lost. Lu Qingsong snorted coldly upon witnessing this. If he were confident enough and not worried about overdoing it, he might have tried to keep all 3 of them at White Tiger Mountain. The 3 of them said nothing more, quickly piloting the spirit boat to leave White Tiger Mountain territory. Now that Tao Jizhong had severed his arm with great expense, there might still be a way to reattach it, so they needed to rush back. Big brother, thank you for your hard work. Lu Qingsong exhaled deeply, addressing Lu Pingon. In the previous situation, it would be a lie to say he wasn't nervous. It's nothing. Lu Pingon shook his head, saying, In the future, when facing these Foundation establishment cultivators, be more careful, don't appear before them so boldly. Although Lu Qingsong had a talisman treasure, if the other party employed lethal moves, Lu Qingsong might not have had time to use it. Haha, I dare do so because you were here, big brother. Lu Qingsong chuckled lightly, answering candidly. Soon, the 2 brothers and the beast returned to White Tiger Mountain. At this moment, all the cultivators present looked at Lu Pingon and Lu Qingsong with a newfound respect in their eyes. especially facing Lu Pingon, the Foundation Establishment great cultivator. Brother Song. Lu Yen looked at Lu Qingsong somewhat ashamed, knowing that today's events had arisen because of her. It's all right. Lu Qingsong replied softly. Big Pot, I also want to practice this. Lu Lingyi ran to her big brother's side, looking at the taller black dragon halberd, with envy. All right, once you master the fist technique, Big Brother will teach you. Lu Pingon replied with a smile. Compared to the halberd technique, he preferred using his fists. But his father, Lu Chongqing, had crafted a whole set of spiritual artifacts for him, indicating he should use the halberd and the golden bow usually. He didn't linger there for long and took his sister Lu Lingyi back to the hills to continue teaching her fist practice. Not long after, the news of White Tiger Mountain spread out. The surrounding family forces were shocked, and countless people learned about by Lake Mountain, along with Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingon. Foundation Establishment Initial Stage defeated Foundation Establishment Mid-Stage. How is this possible? This Lu Pingon dual cultivates in body, having his father Lu Changsheng's given magic artifact, with astonishing combat power. I've heard of Tao Jizhong, known as Zi Luo Dao, an old Foundation Establishment cultivator, was actually defeated by a junior, forced to sever his own arm. In the past, Master Lu Chongqing of By Lake Mountain, shortly after breaking through Foundation Establishment, killed 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Yu family alone, establishing By Lake Mountain, and today his son actually defeats a seasoned cultivator in the initial stage of Foundation Establishment. Chapter 1071. Victory. Lu Family Eldest Son. _4 Chapter 1071. Chapter 378. Victory. Lu Family Eldest Son. _4. The rise of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain seems unstoppable. Rumors had it that there was no Foundation Establishment cultivator stationed at White Tiger Mountain. I didn't expect them to hide it so deep. It seems that the nearby Golden Dragon Ridge can't sit still anymore. Numerous cultivators discussed the news. Golden Dragon Ridge. Jin family. Lu Pingon, the eldest son of the Lu family, at the initial stage of Foundation Establishment, mid-stage of second-order body refining. The patriarch of the Jin family looked at the message before him with a very solemn expression. He didn't expect that a mere probe from his family would uncover such startling information. Body refinement not only consumes resources but also a great deal of time and effort. Whether Lu Pingon has achieved such progress through serendipitous fortune or extraordinary talent, the patriarch of the Jin family muttered to himself. If it were an ordinary loose cultivator, he wouldn't be so surprised, only considering it a fortunate encounter. But this person is the son of Lu Chongqing, which makes him think twice. 4 years ago he had learned the news. Lu Qingshan of the Jinyang sect challenged at the Heavenly Sword sect and overpowered his peers, unmatched. Previously a Lu Qingshan, now another Lu Pingon. What kind of incredible luck has Lu Chongqing stumbled upon for his ancestral tomb to be shining with golden light? The patriarch of the Jin family took a deep breath, his eyes revealing a hint of envy. He immediately sent a message to convene a family meeting, to discuss and decide how to respond to this matter. Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Lu Pingon, the eldest son of the Lu family, defeated Tao Jizhong of the Zi Luo Dao head-on, forcing Lu Qingsong to sever his own arm. Lu Yuanding, Lu Muping, and others were utterly astonished upon hearing this news. They didn't expect that among Lu Changsheng's children, another had broken through to Foundation Establishment. Especially Lu Yuanding. He still remembered when Lu Changsheng's first son was born. He, as the family head, had given his blessings. And now, this child had become an esteemed Foundation Establishment cultivator. It made him quite emotional. Lu Qingshan, Lu Pingon. Lu Chongqing is really too lucky. Some high-level members of the Lu family who knew about Lu Qingshan sighed over Lu Changsheng's good fortune. After all, for a family to produce a Foundation Establishment seedling could be considered as their ancestral tomb emitting golden light. And Lu Chongqing not only had a son like Lu Qingshan, who is exceptionally talented, but now also in Lu Pingon. Such similar emotions are not only felt in Qingzhou Mountain. Places like Hundred Birds Lake, Centipede Ridge, Ironwood Mountains Mo family, Stream Mountains Ning family, and other family forces all felt endless emotions. Because a family cannot rely solely on the older generation. It needs a continual influx of fresh blood, the rise of the younger generation, to grow rapidly. Today, the fame and influence of Qingzhou Mountain are solely maintained by Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. The appearance of Lu Pingan now also tells everyone that Qingzhou Mountain has successors, with the second generation of the Lu family making their mark. But thinking that Lu Chongqing is not yet 70 years old, many feel an unfathomable wariness. Not only other families. When the news from White Tiger Mountain reached Qingzhou Mountain, many Lu family disciples were also surprised and wondered. Like Lu Qingshan, Lu Chuanjun breaking through to foundation establishment, they wouldn't be so surprised. But Lu Pingan is usually so low-key. Suddenly becoming a foundation-building great cultivator, with such astonishing combat power, left them feeling envious and full of drive. And the concubines of the Lu family felt envious towards Lu Lanshu, hoping their own children could break through to foundation establishment like Lu Pingan, and become famous one day. Well done! Lu Miaohuan showed a smile on her face when she heard her own son and Lu Pingan had forced a foundation establishment cultivator to sever his own arm. After all, forcing a foundation establishment cultivator while still in the qi refinement realm is something one could boast about for a lifetime. Yuner, send Pingan's information to Rui Prefecture, tell your Aunt Lanshu to come to Bihu Mountain, and have Xingyang prepare the foundation establishment ceremony. After your father comes out of his retreat, well, set a date to hold a ceremony for your elder brother. Lu Miaoyun instructed her son Lu Yun upon hearing this news. She had once asked Lu Chongqing about the issue of Lu Pingan's foundation establishment ceremony. But Lu Chongqing had said it would be a few years, or perhaps when the news of Lu Pingan's foundation establishment became known. Now that this situation has arisen, the foundation establishment ceremony can naturally be arranged. Furthermore, this event, after it develops, is bound to make other family forces wary. It is just right to use the ceremony to invite other family forces to come together, to indicate their family's stance and attitude, still to value peace and prosperity. Yes, mother. Lu Yun nodded in response. Even though he felt envious upon hearing this news. I wonder if I can break through to foundation establishment in my lifetime. Lu Yun thought about his own circumstances. If he focused on cultivation, he might have a chance to attempt foundation establishment before the age of 60. But with his 7th grade spiritual root, even with a foundation establishment pill, the chances of breaking through are only 20 to 30%. Chapter 1072. The Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Chapter 1072. Chapter 379. The Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Regarding White Tiger Mountain, Lu Chongqing was oblivious to what was happening with his own son. He was still breaking through the 9th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. Boom boom boom, within the Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing sat cross-legged, immobile as if he was an unblemished piece of jade, his body dazzling and radiant with treasure-like luster flowing through it. His organs resonated continuously, clanging noisily. His breath boomed like rolling thunder, raising a terrifying force around his body as if waves were crashing against the shore. His flesh, bones and organs were all undergoing metamorphosis, a transformation akin to molting, shattering and rebirthing. Who knows how long had passed when the radiance around Lu Chongqing gradually retracted. There was no longer any trace of vitality flowing through his body. His breath was feeble, and his heart, blood, and organs seemed to have stopped functioning. This was where flesh, organs, and bones reached their limits, a rebirth from annihilation, completing the final transformation. In this way, Lu Chongqing sat without moving, resembling a piece of withered wood, his breathing halted. His skin, once translucent, aged visibly at a rapid pace, deathly still. Time trickled by. Lu Chongqing appeared as if he had passed away, his body decaying and withering. However, just as his vitality completely ceased, and he reached his demise, his entire being, like plants enduring the bitter cold winter, burst forth anew with life. Thump! Lu Changsheng's heart beat. The faint heartbeat sound grew louder, escalating steadily into a powerful rhythm, like drums of gods and demons. Rustle, rustle. At this moment, his blood began to revive, following the rhythm of his heartbeat. His fresh, sparkling red blood surged like mighty rivers through his limbs and bones, cleansing his flesh, meridians, bones, and organs. Who knows how much time passed when Lu Chongqing completed the transformation and opened his eyes. His body was pristine and flawless, sacred and brilliant like divine gold, devoid of any imperfection. So this is what third-order body refining feels like. Lu Chongxing felt the surging divine power throughout his body and murmured to himself. The leap from the 8th to the 9th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art was a qualitative change. His physical body was now on an entirely different realm from before. Faced with someone like the elder ancestor of the Su family, a false core immortal, no need for the 9 treasures Rui Bone, a single punch could obliterate him. Even if his opponent's magical treasures attacked, he could try to withstand them with his bare hands. As for any spiritual artifacts or magical treasure embryo, smash them directly. Because his body was the most formidable humanoid weapon, comparable to magical treasures. However, the 9th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art is much more difficult than I imagined. I'll have to remind Pingon to be extra cautious. Lu Chongxing thought back on the breakthrough process. His 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art had long been at the peak of the 8th level. He was only accumulating his foundation, waiting until his physique could no longer advance before challenging the 9th level. Yet even so, he felt the process was extraordinarily perilous. One misstep could have led to a failed breakthrough. If the breakthrough had failed, he would not have died, but his body would have been severely damaged, and his vital energy severely depleted. I wonder if I can now contend against her. Lu Chongxing clenched his hand, slightly warping and collapsing the space around, thinking of his female knight, Kaiyun True Immortal Yun Wansheng. Among all the cultivators he had encountered so far, she was the strongest. He stood no chance against her. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Chongxing drew a conclusion. Unless he ambushed her while she was completely unguarded. Otherwise, he stood no chance against this Kaiyun True Immortal. The one who previously appeared silently beside him, restraining his divine sense and mana with a mere wave of her hand, possessed strength far beyond an ordinary nascent soul immortal. At least in the middle stage of nascent soul, or even late stage. Enduring the bitterest willows to become the greatest amongst men. What's this little bit of hardship? Lu Chongxing didn't dwell much on Yun Wansheng's matter. Just being ridden. Although a bit gloomy, it was not to the point of seriousness. Just consider it as offering some prenatal aura to his child's mother in advance. Once his own strength rose, Mr. Lu would tell her that his yin-yang energies were not to be taken lightly. Only his child's mother was entitled to them. Lu Chongxing snapped his fingers, casting a cleansing technique, tidied up his robe a bit, and stepped out of the cave mansion. It seems the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus will have to wait some more. Seeing the heavenly origin precious lotus in the spiritual spring, Lu Chongxing silently mused. He had planned to use the heavenly origin precious lotus at the peak of foundation establishment, incorporating it as his second dantian to cultivate the yin-yang primordial pill method. However, the origins of the heavenly origin precious lotus were not clean. If used now, it would be awkward if Yun Wansheng took notice. Although she seemed to bear no ill will toward him. But caution is always a necessity. He could not just trust her unconditionally like he did with Xiaofan because they had been intimate. Now that I have broken through to third-order body refining, I can also make a trip to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Lu Chongxing gazed at the heavenly origin Supreme King Lotus before him, contemplating in his heart. His journey to the Myriad Beasts mountain range was not to hunt down demon kings, refine blood essence spirit light, or to awaken the Tai soul body. Rather, he wanted to intercept a few origin sources of the spirit veins to nourish the cave heaven spirit vein. It might not elevate the spirit veins to third rank, but cultivating to the second tier top level was hopeful. With that, the elemental elixirs condensed by the yin-yang primordial pill method, second-order superior spirit veins of by Lake Mountain, coupled with the spiritual eye spring, heavenly origin precious lotus, and spirit gathering array, would be sufficient for his core formation attempt. When things with Yun Wansheng are more or less sorted, Zi Xiao could come with me. With my current strength, heading to the Myriad Beasts mountain range and targeting second-grade spirit veins shouldn't be dangerous. Lu Chongxing contemplated, planning to go later with Ling Zi Xiao. Chapter 1073. The Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Chapter 1073. Chapter 379. The Azure Phoenix Immortal is seriously injured again. Because overseeing the cutting of spirit vein requires a protector. And Ling Zixiao, being proficient in formation path, is very suitable for this task. It was only after Lu Chongxing stepped out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and returned to the Lu family mansion that he realized this breakthrough took him half a year. Shortly after he entered closed-door cultivation, an incident involving Lu Pingon occurred at White Tiger Mountain. Since the ceremony has already been prepared, We might as well send out the invitations right now. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing immediately responded, not minding that Lu Pingan's cultivation level had been revealed. Even without this incident, he was planning to hold a foundation establishment ceremony for Lu Pingan in the next 2 years. Afterwards, Lu Chongqing inquired if there were other matters at home. Lu Miaoyun indicated that there was nothing significant at home, but news from Azure Phoenix Immortal City reported that Azure Phoenix Immortal had been severely injured again. Severely injured again? Lu Chongqing was somewhat speechless. He had heard news of Azure Phoenix Immortal's severe injuries 3 or 4 times already. Each time, the news was proven to be false. This time, chances are high that it's true. There are rumors that a false core immortal in Azure Phoenix Immortal City was killed, and Azure Phoenix Immortal did not intervene. Afterwards, some forces tested the waters by attacking numerous Foundation establishment cultivators of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and yet Azure Phoenix Immortal still did not step in to stabilize the situation. Now the entire Azure Phoenix Immortal City security has been affected, causing panic among the people, and many cultivators are leaving the city. Lu Miaoyun stated. A false core immortal and several Foundation establishment cultivators were killed. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing was somewhat astonished. Such casualties were indeed severe, amounting to blatant provocation. Back when a false core patriarch of the Su family was slain, elder ancestor of the Su family directly went to the Five Elements royal family to assert power. Now something akin is happening in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, but Azure Phoenix Immortal has not come forward to calm the populace, clearly indicating a problem. If Azure Phoenix Immortal continues to lay low, and this matter is completely confirmed, the flow of people in Azure Phoenix Immortal City will certainly decline rapidly. After all, apart from its environmental advantages, the reason why Azure Phoenix Immortal City has become a sanctuary for independent cultivators is also inseparable from the formidable reputation of Azure Phoenix Immortal, Jiang Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator. Well, it's difficult to verify the authenticity of this news, but it is true that there are security issues in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Rumor has it that robber cultivators are rampant around Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and even armed conflicts have erupted in the outer city, Lu Miaoyun voiced. Though Azure Phoenix Immortal City is very far from by Lake Mountain and wouldn't affect this region. But such matters signal potential unrest in Jiang country cultivation realm. Is there any news from Feiyu's side? Lu Chongqing thought of his friend who was working in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. He had kept in touch with Li Feiyu over the years, with the latter frequently sending him spiritual materials via Green Cloud spirit ship. Given the current situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he estimated that it might affect his friend. No. Lu Miaoyun shook her head, indicating that she hadn't received any related correspondence from Li Feiyu. If such a thing really occurred in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, even if Feiyu knew, he wouldn't dare to mention it in a letter. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, contemplative. With such an incident in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, many forces would certainly be watching closely. Even the city's mail might be intercepted by other forces. Someone like Li Feiyu, who holds an important position in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, is especially a subject of attention. After pondering for a moment, he wrote a letter, advising Li Feiyu to be extra cautious and to consider returning for a visit if the city became unstable. However, knowing Feiyu's character, even if problems truly arise in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he is unlikely to flee immediately. Lu Chongqing shook his head, musing inwardly. He felt that his good brother would probably only consider fleeing if Azure Phoenix Immortal City completely fell apart. Golden Dragon Ridge. Jin family. Although Lu Pingan is formidable, as long as our ancestor makes a move, he will surely be able to slay him. Right, with Lu Pingan dead, the Lu family ceremony would turn into a funeral, and Lu Chongqing would surely be immensely grieved. Even if we can't kill Lu Pingan, crippling him would also disgust the Lu family for decades. In the Jin family conference hall, several high-level members heard about the Foundation establishment ceremony at Bai Lake Mountain and planned to intercept Lu Pingan on his way from White Tiger Mountain to Bai Lake Mountain. Families like theirs fear nothing more than lack of continuity and successors. Many family forces see a generational gap not because there hasn't been a Foundation establishment prospect in decades, but because such prospects perish prematurely. This isn't appropriate. If something happens to Lu Pingan at this time, Bai Lake Mountain will surely suspect our family. Although we aren't afraid of them, with our great elder currently attempting to break through to false core in the immortal city, there's no need to take this risk. Just wait for the great elder's successful breakthrough. No matter what Lu and his wife do, there'll be no match for our Jin family. Among the high-level members of the Jin family, one shook his head and said, "Indeed, Lu Chongqing is not simple. Even his son in the Qi refinement realm possesses a talisman treasure. That Lu Pingon surely has life-saving resources at his disposal. If he isn't eliminated, it will be very troublesome." Another high-ranking member of the Jin family spoke up. Over the years, they had been closely monitoring the situation at Bai Lake Mountain. They strongly suspected that the opportunity obtained by Lu Chongqing was extraordinary, possibly the entire legacy of a nascent soul immortal. Otherwise, even if Lu Chongqing was a second-order top-level talisman master and second-order alchemist with a booming family puppet business, it would not be possible for him to possess such an array of wealth and treasures. Let's wait for the breakthrough of the Great Elder before discussing this further. Moreover, the news about Lu Pingon and Lu Qingshan has already reached the beast-taming Su family. That Su family elder who didn't act against Lu Chongqing and his wife back then would definitely not sit idle seeing the current situation at Bai Lake Mountain, and it's highly likely they will take action against the Lu family. Hearing these words, the patriarch of the Jin family pondered for a long time before finally deciding. Their Jin family was at a critical moment right now. As long as the great elder Jin Zan successfully makes his breakthrough, the family's deadlock would naturally resolve itself, allowing them to advance further. Half a month later, Lu Pingan's foundation establishment ceremony began. The ceremony, held at Bai Lake Mountain, being the first foundation establishment ceremony for the second generation of the Lu family, was grand and lively. "Greetings to young Master Lu. Indeed, a lion doesn't father a lamb. Congratulations to Lu Ancestor. Lu Ancestor has taught his child well. I wonder if young Master Lu is married yet, my daughter." At Biyun Villa, numerous foundation establishment ancestors came to offer their congratulations, looking at Lu Chongqing and Lu Lanche's son, Lu Pingon, their hearts filled with envy and admiration. Sitting in the main seat, Lu Lanshu watched the scene unfold, her son seemingly like a dream come true. She had waited too long for this day. Even though she knew early on that her son would break through to foundation establishment and that a ceremony would be held at home. Still, seeing her son receiving such widespread attention at this moment, her eyes reddened with overwhelming joy, and she burst into tears. He, Lu Chongqing, bringing along his son Lu Pingon, socialized with these foundation establishment ancestors. He reiterated their family's policy of valuing peace above all, asking everyone to rest assured. Regarding partnerships and marriage alliances, he was very willing from Bai Lake Mountain. Subsequently, he and Lu Lanshu took Lu Pingon to meet other energy refining cultivators outside the villa, allowing these family forces to get acquainted with Lu Pingon. "Congratulations, big brother. Congratulations, uncle. Congratulations, cousin Pingon." The Lu family disciples from Bai Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain were the most enthusiastic, congratulating Lu Pingon. During this time, many daughters of smaller families cast admiring glances at Lu Pingon, while shyly looking at Lu Chongqing. Despite seeing these gazes, Lu Chongqing naturally noticed but harbored no thoughts of taking concubines. Or rather, these ordinary qi refining female cultivators with average spiritual roots were no longer appealing to Lu Ancestor. As for Lu Pingon, he was indifferent to these looks. Thus, the ceremony continued for 3 days before concluding, and the guests dispersed. Lu Pingon and others like Lu Qingsong returned to White Tiger Mountain to oversee things. During this period, there were no movements from Dragon Light Commerce Chamber and Golden Dragon Ridge. Even the Jin family sent a gift during the ceremony. However, Lu Chongqing always felt that the Jin family did not harbor good intentions and acted as if nothing happened. Buzz! That day, Lu Chongqing sensed something and a jade slip appeared in his hand. He knew it was Yun Wanshang contacting him, signaling him to come over and assist her in cultivation. Although Lu Chongqing was quite open about this. Still, the thought of the esteemed Lu ancestor having to make the initiative, being blinded, and ridden by divine sense felt quite suffocating. Should I struggle a bit during the process? Lu Chongqing thought to himself, feeling that if he made a full effort, he might break free from the restraints. Then, taking advantage of the opponent's weakened state. Forget it, this is just the first episode plotline. A regular nascent soul cultivator shouldn't be this weak. Lu Chongqing shook his head. To endure the hardest hardships is what makes a greater man. Isn't this also a form of cultivation, a form of tempering? With this epiphany, Lu Chongqing informed his family and set out for the appointment. However, before leaving, he used the 9 treasures Rui bone to seal his cultivation level to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. Although he wasn't sure if Yun Wansheng had seen through his cultivation level, it was better to conceal it if possible. Chapter 1074. Taoist, please hold on. Chapter 1074, Chapter 380. Taoist, please hold on. Lu Chongqing had just traveled a few dozen miles away from Bai Lake Mountain when he suddenly sensed a divine sense sweeping over him. This divine sense was extremely secretive. Had it not been for his divine sense being comparable to that of a nascent soul immortal and wearing a fate-defying robe, he might not have noticed it at all. Next, Lu Chongqing shrewdly discovered that the other party had left an almost undetectable divine sense mark on his robe, which could be used for positioning and tracking. What's the situation? Is it a robber cultivator killing people for their treasures? No, this person's divine sense is at least at the level of a false core immortal. It's impossible for such a powerful robber cultivator to be in this area. Could it be ancestor of Jin family lying in wait for me here? Lu Chongqing wondered inwardly, unsure of the circumstances. To avoid startling the snake, he acted as if nothing had happened and continued to steer his purple flying shuttle through the clouds. However, during this process, Lu Chongqing quietly and imperceptibly began to unravel his third-order body refining. After flying another 100 miles, a figure appeared, shouting at Lu Chongqing, "Taoist, please halt!" However, just as this voice sounded, Lu Chongqing sharply heard a hissing noise that was harsh to the ears. Without any hesitation, he fully activated the 100 Refinements treasure body art, and his muscles seemed to stretch a few inches taller. Clang, clang. The sound of metal striking metal rang out. Lu Chongqing saw 2 pale gray flying snakes, as thick as chopsticks, baring their teeth in front of him. You're a body cultivator? The golden robe cultivator not far away was shocked to see that Lu Chongqing was unharmed under the attack of his shadow flying snakes. His eyes widened. It must be known that both of these flying snakes had second-rank peak strength. Under a sneak attack, they could threaten a false core immortal. The Lu Chongqing in front of him was just a foundation establishment cultivator. How could he have such an astonishing ability for body refinement? Courting death. Lu Chongqing locked his gaze on the golden robe elder before him, his pupils narrowed, and his physical body fully unleashed, emitting a terrifying bodily presence. A third-order body cultivator? The golden robe elder felt an aura as terrifying as that of a third-rank demon king, and his face turned pale in an instant. Isn't Lu Chongqing just a little foundation establishment cultivator? How can he become a third-order body cultivator in the blink of an eye? The golden robe elder didn't dare to ponder further. Without the slightest hesitation, his entire being turned into a rainbow light and he madly fled. Want to run? 9 treasures Rui bone, speed. Lu Chongqing's eyes were cold as he activated the 9 treasures Rui bone. His body surged with 9 colors of radiance, and he shot out explosively. His arms whipped out like a dragon snake leaping forth. Boom, boom, boom. His fist shattered layers of air, and the terrifying force of his punch struck the back of the golden robe elder like a cannonball. Even though the golden robe elder's mana was driven to its limit, forming a protective shield, he still spat out blood under the powerful blow, and his entire being was sent flying backward like a kite with its string cut. With this strength, there is no chance of resistance. The golden robe elder couldn't care less about his injuries as he immediately activated a secret technique to stabilize them, and a talisman appeared in his hand. However, at that moment, he felt an excruciating pain in his soul, as if a needle had pierced through his mind, making him slightly dizzy. Not good, a divine sense attack. The golden robe elder quickly suppressed his troubled soul. But in the next moment, a slender jade-like hand tightly gripped his neck like an eagle seizing a rabbit, causing the mana and blood in his body to stagnate. Danger! In an instant, an overwhelming sense of impending death enveloped his entire being. Senior has misunderstood. It's all a misunderstanding. I mistook you for someone else. Please spare my life. The golden robe elder couldn't understand how Lu Chongqing, with the cultivation of foundation establishment, possessed such astonishing strength. But at this moment, with his life in the hands of the other party, he didn't dare to think further and immediately chose to beg for mercy. For someone your age, you're a false core cultivator, and yet you're so cowardly? Lu Chongqing looked at the golden robe elder begging for mercy in front of him, frowned, and showed disdain. A venerable false core immortal. And that's all you are? Not an ounce of spine. Damn it, if you were being choked like this, let's see if you wouldn't be a coward. The golden robe elder's face flashed shades of green and red, feeling incredibly aggrieved, yet he dare not retort, fearing that Lu Chongqing would squeeze and kill him with a bit more force. Feeling the increasing pressure on his neck as if it were about to sever his head from his body, he quickly spoke up. Senior is right, I have always been such a coward, preferring life over dignity. Please spare me, Senior. All the money and wealth on my person I offer as an apology to Senior. The golden robe elder pleaded humbly. Lu Chongqing didn't say a word but used his yin-yang magic power to unravel the disguise concealing the golden robe elder's face. Suku. Upon seeing the somber face and hooked nose, Lu Chongqing immediately recognized his identity. The third ancestor of the beast-taming Su family, Su Gu. Lu Chongqing had once heard from Su Ruyan that this third ancestor of the Su family had taken notice of him and might take action against him. He had not expected that the other party would be lying in ambush outside by Lake Mountain to attack him. Had he truly been a mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, facing such an ambush, it would have been a situation with no chance of survival. Upon recognizing him, Su Ge's face looked mournful. He wanted to say something, but Lu Chongqing once again applied a soul dispersion needle and punched him in the Qi ocean core, shattering his bones, contorting his body like a shrimp, and making him vomit blood. 9 treasures Rui bone seal. Then, Lu Changsheng's chest burst with the 9 treasures Rui bone, unleashing a torrent of mysterious power that entered Su Ge's sea of consciousness and core, sealing his spiritual force and mana. Had it not been for my desire to capture you alive, you would already be dead. Lu Chongqing looked at the now unconscious Su Gu and sneered. With his current strength, killing the opponent would have been quite simple. Chapter 1075. Taoist, please hold on. Chapter 1075. Chapter 380. Taoist, please hold on. But the ambush against me must have some reason. So I'm prepared to bring him back to Bihu Lake Mountain to interrogate him with the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom to find out the reason. Does the beast-taming Su family know about this? Whoosh whoosh. Afterward, Lu Chongqing looked at the 2 flying serpents not far away, and his figure burst forth, easily suppressing them, then crushing them to death. These 2 flying serpents were clearly the spirit beasts of that ancestor from the Su family, too difficult to tame, better to just kill them. Lu Chongqing went to the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer and removed anything suspicious from Su Gu. After cleaning him up, he returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, found his wife Lu Miaohuan, and said he was going to use the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. The Abyssal Ghoul Blossom had been refined by his wife into her lifespan spiritual plant. Its original spirit intelligence had already vanished, leaving only the instinctual consciousness of the spirit plant. All right. Lu Miaohuan agreed immediately upon hearing this and went with Lu Chongqing to Lake Heart Island. The beautifully enchanting Abyssal Ghoul Blossom swayed, emitting a charming glow. Thorny roots filled with dark red barbs emerged from the ground, tightly entwining the unconscious Su Gu and dragging him into the bud, which resembled a deep abyssal maw. What? What are you going to do? No, Lu Chongqing, you cannot kill me if you do. My beast-taming Su family will not let you off. Under this painful sensation, Su Gu gradually regained consciousness. He felt his flesh, mana, and soul, all being devoured by a force. He tried to struggle, but he was seriously injured, his mana soul sealed by the 9 treasures Rui bone, utterly unable to fight back. The beast-taming Su family? Lu Miaohuan looked at her husband somewhat surprised after hearing this. She was naturally aware of the beast-taming Su family, the #1 family in the Qingyun region. One of the 3 nascent soul great clans of Jiang country. 13 years ago, a false core patriarch of the Su family was killed, and to establish their dominance, their core formation old ancestor took 2 third-order spirit beasts to the 5 elements royal family, becoming renowned throughout the Jiang country cultivation realm. Therefore, knowing that the cultivator in front of her came from the beast-taming Su family, Lu Miaohuan was very surprised. No need to worry, Lu Chongqing said calmly, holding his wife's cool hand. He had killed false core immortals of the beast-taming Su family before. What's another one? Moreover, since the other party ambushed him and saw his true strength, He was destined to have no way out but death. Ah! Lu Chongqing, you actually possess such demonic methods. If Qingyun's sect, Heavenly Sword sect know about this, your Bihu Lake Mountain will definitely not die a good death. Su Gu felt he was on the verge of death, howling in unwillingness. His heart filled with immense regret. Wasn't he comfortable sitting at home in his family? Why bother going after Lu Chongqing? However, at this moment, regret was useless, as his consciousness gradually faded with the absorption by the abyssal ghoul blossom. My husband! Lu Miaohuan heard his words, looked at the situation, and pursed her red lips lightly. Even though she had long grown accustomed to the abyssal ghoul blossom's feeding. Still, Su Ge's words had an impact on her. Especially since the feedback from the abyssal ghoul blossom told her that this was a false core true pill master, stirring an inexplicable emotion in her heart. Whether it's demonic or not, there's no need to care about such talk, everything is taken care of by me. Lu Chongqing hugged his wife into his chest, saying softly. He thought to himself that next time, he must completely knock the person out. Otherwise, such words might affect his wife's state of mind. After all, Lu Miaohuan, no matter what, was just a girl from a minor family and hadn't seen much of the world. She had a certain amount of respect and fear ingrained in her for the demon path, beast-taming Su family, Qingyun sect, and Heavenly Sword sect. Lu Miaohuan snuggled against Lu Changsheng's chest and asked softly, Husband, is this person really a false core true pill master? Even with the feedback from the abyssal ghoul blossom, she still found it hard to believe. After all, how could a high and mighty false core true pill master be captured and brought home by her husband? Yes, this person is named Su Gu and is a false core patriarch of the Su family. I don't know why he took notice of our family. He ambushed me during this trip. Lu Chongqing nodded, his voice neutral. My husband, are you all right? Lu Miaohuan immediately looked at Lu Chongqing with a face full of concern. Of course I'm fine. I had the chance earlier to break through to third-order body refining, so he is no match for me. Lu Chongqing smiled and stroked his wife's soft hair. Third-order body refining? Lu Miaohuan's red lips parted slightly, her face filled with surprise. Third-order body refining. Doesn't that mean her husband is comparable to a true pill master? Looking at Lu Chongqing in front of her, Lu Miaohuan felt a twinge of inferiority. She had not expected her husband to be so outstanding, to have grown to such an extent without her notice, while she... But in just a moment, that inferiority turned into pride. Proud of Lu Chongqing, and proud of her own vision for choosing Lu Chongqing. After chatting for a long time, Lu Miaohuan said to Lu Chongqing, Husband, the memory fragments have emerged. Good. Lu Chongqing went beside the abyssal ghoul blossom immediately and placed his hand on the enchanting flower. Instantly, a series of fragmented memories appeared before his eyes like a disjointed movie. The memories were vast and chaotic. Lu Chongqing closed his eyes and quietly searched for the useful information he needed. After a while, Lu Chongqing opened his eyes. He obtained the information he generally wanted. This attack first started when he and Lu Miaoge were 2 striking years ago, catching the attention of this Su family ancestor. Then there was the matter of Lu Qingshan challenging the Heavenly Sword sect, which also caught the attention of this Su family ancestor, who wanted to eliminate him. Finally, not long ago, the matter of Lu Pingon led this Su family ancestor to investigate and analyze from various perspectives, suspecting that Lu Chongqing might be some kind of spiritual body that easily gives birth to extraordinarily talented offspring. Chapter 1076. Taoist, please hold on. Chapter 1076. Chapter 380. Taoist, please hold on. So he wanted to capture him and bring him back to the beast-taming Su family for breeding purposes. Lu Chongqing, upon seeing this message, was somewhat dumbfounded. He never expected that the main reason why the other party was staking out outside by Lake Mountain was to capture him and bring him back to the Su family for breeding. However, this also made Lu Chongqing realize one thing. There are no fools in the cultivation world. With his frenzied childbearing and multiple talented children appearing in his family, anyone would notice and suspect this. After all, the probability of his children having spiritual roots and being geniuses was far above the normal level, which easily attracted attention. It seems I need to be more cautious in the future. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. Once his genius children grow up and come into their own, there will be no way to cover it up or explain it. After all, One could explain the cultivation level with fortuitous encounters. But childbearing, aside from spiritual body and bloodline, there really is no explanation. Su guesses information about the ambush on his trip out. Someone in the Su family knows. Lu Chongqing looked at the message, narrowing his eyes, with a somewhat solemn expression. He wasn't afraid of the beast-taming Su family. After all, his family had Mount Sumeru backing them, and as long as no nascent soul true lord attacked, they were safe and untroubled. And with his third-order body refining, and having thousand faces puppet fox, endless guileful head, and the dark demon corpse, he wasn't afraid of the core formation old ancestor of the Su family. But if the elder ancestor of the Su family came to by Lake Mountain as they had gone to the Five Elements royal family, it would indeed cause him a lot of trouble. Especially, if he were to use these tactics in public, there would be no way to explain it and it would bring countless troubles. Currently no one knows my strength, so the death of Su Gu, the beast-taming Su family might not necessarily suspect this little foundation establishment cultivator. Moreover, according to Su Guest's memory, the elder ancestor of the Su family was tyrannical and domineering, bringing two third-order spiritual beasts to blockade the Five Elements royal family's gate because the elder ancestor was injured and used this method for intimidation. So the likelihood of this elder ancestor from the Su family coming to block Mai by Lake Mountain is small. Lu Chongqing pondered. Yet he felt that he could not wager on this matter. Perhaps he should also find time to go to Dragon Head Mountain of the beast-taming Su family, and stake out there. Wait for the day when the elder ancestor of the Su family leaves. He could rely on Thousand Faces puppet fox, endless guileful head to ambush him. Or perhaps through the book of malevolent curses and fates, curse and kill this elder ancestor of the Su family. Ah! Wait, I also have backing. At this moment, Lu Chongqing remembered he also had backing. No matter how powerful the beast-taming Su family is, could they be more powerful than Qing Yun's sect, than Kai Yun True Immortal? This Kai Yun True Immortal, as enforcement hall master of Qing Yun's sect, at least has a mid-stage core formation, and his disciples are also nascent soul immortals. As long as the Su family dared to come and cause trouble, block the gate, all he had to do was shake people up. Almost forgot the main business. I still have to go to the secret meeting. Suddenly, Lu Chongqing remembered because of Su Guest's matter, he had even delayed his main business. Perhaps Kai Yun True Immortal was waiting for him. Huan, I have to go out for a while. If anything happens at home, immediately send me a message. When you have time, sort through the information about the beast-taming Su family from Su Guest's memory fragments. Lu Chongqing immediately said to Lu Miaohuan. Su Gu, as the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family, knew many family secrets. If he could obtain these secrets, it would also help in future confrontations with the Su family. All right, husband, be careful on your way. Lu Miaohuan nodded in response. Then Lu Chongqing quickly tidied up and rode the flying shuttle away from by Lake Mountain, heading to the secret meeting point. He thought about whether he should make his clothes and magic aura messy, and then claim that he was delayed because he was ambushed by the beast-taming Su family on the way. Perhaps even cling to the other party's legs, crying and saying that he almost didn't get to see them. This idea alone made Lu Chongqing himself shudder. He, the great Lu ancestor, how could he possibly do such a thing? Chapter 1077. Real person, you must stand up for me. Chapter 1077, Chapter 381. Real person, you must stand up for me. Dragon Head Mountain. Beast-taming Su family. In the sumptuous palace paved with gold and jade, the atmosphere was tense and heavy. Elder ancestor of the Su family sat in the main seat, his face as gloomy as water, his body emanating a terrifying presence as deep and as formidable as an abyss, like a volcano about to erupt at any moment. Several high-ranking members of the Su family were prostrate on the ground, shivering, not daring to speak, overwhelmed by the awe-inspiring presence of their own elder ancestor. However, they could understand the wrath of their elder ancestor. During his closed-door cultivation, 2 false core patriarchs in the family had been successively killed. Moreover, the deaths were mysterious, with not even a clue as to the killer or the forces behind the act. What has happened? The elder ancestor of the Su family suppressed the anger in his heart, his voice deep and forceful, echoing through the palace like rolling thunder. The beast-taming Su family, as one of the top-tier forces in Jiang country, and a nascent soul noble family with a legacy spanning thousands of years, was highly esteemed. Now, 2 false core immortals had died in succession. Moreover, their deaths were utterly inexplicable, and it was unknown which forces were behind them. Disgrace. Provocation. This was a blatant disgrace and provocation, trampling over the dignity of the beast-taming Su family. Yet, following the deaths of the two false cores, an inexplicable fear began to rise in the heart of the elder ancestor of the Su family. Besides the four great immortal sects, no one in the cultivation realm of Jiang country would dare to oppose the Su family in such a manner. Elder ancestor Su Gu should have gone to the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. A member of the Su family cautiously began to speak. Blue Lake Mountain Lu family? The eyes of the elder ancestor of the Su family opened and closed, strands of golden light flowing within, captivating the soul. Although the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family had a not-so-small reputation in the Qingyun region, it was still insignificant in the eyes of the elder ancestor. Report to elder ancestor. This high-ranking member of the Su family immediately spoke up, explaining that the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family had emerged as a force in the past 20 years. Their patriarch, Lu Chongxing, and his wife, Lu Miaoga, practiced a dual cultivation technique, and their combined strength was comparable to that of a false core immortal. Moreover, Lu Chongxing carried a certain heritage of the talisman path, and soon after his foundation establishment breakthrough, he relied on talisman formations to kill 3 foundation establishment cultivators, making his name in a single battle and beginning his rise. Even if this couple's combined strength is on par with a false core, they could not have killed Su Gu. The elder ancestor of the Su family declared. Although Su Ge's character was flawed, but as a false core immortal, there was no doubting his combat prowess. How could 2 cultivators, who only barely contend with a false core through their dual cultivation technique, be Su Ge's opponent? And to kill Su Gu? Could it be that all the disciples he raised in the beast-taming Su family were incompetent? It was known that the cultivators of the beast-taming Su family each had spiritual beasts, greatly surpassing their peers in strength. Moreover, due to experiences in his early years, Su Gu was very cautious in his actions. Even when facing foundation establishment cultivators, he would choose to ambush. It was not possible for him to mock his opponents openly, giving them a chance, before engaging in combat. Therefore, under these circumstances, he found it even less plausible that 2 little foundation establishment cultivators could kill Su Gu. Could it be the Qingyun sect? The elder ancestor of the Su family felt a sinking in his heart upon hearing that the location of Blue Lake Mountain was not far from Qingyun sect. Although the beast-taming Su family was under the rule of the Qingyun sect, they were sovereign in their own right. The Qingyun sect was not keen on seeing the Su family become too powerful. But he immediately dismissed this thought. Given the current situation of the Su family, there was no need for the Qingyun sect to engage in such actions. If there was another nascent soul cultivator in the family, it might be understandable for the Qingyun sect to take such actions, with some justification. Could it be the 5 Elements royal family? The elder ancestor of the Su family continued to ponder. Back in the day, he had gone to the 5 Elements royal family to slap their face and establish his might. The royal family must have held a grudge. Perhaps despite him, they took the opportunity to ambush Su Gu. Elder Ghost of the Wang family would not have the guts to do such a thing, for if anything happened to him, the 5 Elements royal family would completely fall. The elder ancestor of the Su family rejected this thought as well, considering other family forces. Elder ancestor, Lu Chongxing of Blue Lake Mountain must have had a great opportunity or a significant fortuitous encounter to rise up so quickly in just a few decades, perhaps holding some treasure in his hands, so. At this moment, the family head of the Su family bravely spoke up. When the second ancestor of the Su family was killed years ago, there was a long investigation without any clues. Now, with the situation of Su Gu, except for the knowledge that Su Gu was preparing to ambush Lu Chongxing at Blue Lake Mountain, there was no information or clues. Asking them to investigate this matter was doomed to yield no clues to the killer. So the only option was to blame this incident on Blue Lake Mountain, and try to quell the elder ancestor's rage. Send someone to investigate Blue Lake Mountain. If it's indeed related, report back immediately. The elder ancestor of the Su family said with a grave voice. Although the possibility was extremely slim, it could not be entirely dismissed. The matter of Su Gu must not be spread. Going forward, retract the family's forces, stay vigilant, and keep a close watch on the movements of Qingyun sect, Wuxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, Donxia Mountain, Huanin sect, Wang family, and Shangguan family. The elder ancestor of the Su family continued, his voice filled with authority and decisiveness. In his heart, he still leaned towards the involvement of other nascent soul-level powers. After all, many times, the adversaries might not necessarily have a direct conflict of interest with his Su family. Perhaps some force wanted to drive a wedge, hoping to benefit from the chaos like a fisherman reaping the rewards. Yes, elder ancestor. The members of the Su family responded in unison. Meanwhile, within a cave in a mountain range, Yun Wanshang, sensing something, opened her beautiful eyes. She looked at the approaching Lu Chongqing. His face pale and his mana aura disordered and weak, and her brow slightly furrowed. She had called him to cultivate, but why did he look as if he had just undergone a tough magical duel? Elder. Seeing the stunning and noble Yun Wanshang dressed in a colorful palace outfit before him, Lu Changsheng's eyes showed a trace of amazement before he quickly bowed in a salutation. What has happened to you? Chapter 1078. Real person, please stand up for me. Chapter 1078. Chapter 381. Real person, please stand up for me. Yun Wanshang's red lips parted slightly, inquiringly. Thank you for your concern, elder. I encountered an assassination attempt on my way here, but it's nothing serious. I apologize for making you wait. Lu Chongqing said, his voice sounding somewhat breathless. After speaking, he coughed and quickly added, Please rest assured, elder, my current state won't affect my cultivation. Assassination. Yun Wanshang's beautiful eyes were like a clear, bottomless pond, as she looked deeply at Lu Chongqing. Then with a gentle lift of her hand, Lu Changsheng's vision darkened, and he was suddenly unable to move. Damn, is this woman so cold and heartless? Lu Chongqing thought to himself in silence, having come to aid her in her cultivation in such a state, yet she did not show more concern? At the very least, she could ask what kind of assassination attempt he encountered, whether it was dangerous or not. Such a heartless woman lifting her skirts. However, Lu Chongqing secretly contemplated, perhaps he was overacting. After all, he didn't really go hard on himself. Just made it look like his mana was in disarray, consumed excessively, without any obvious injuries. A sweet, fragrant elixir medicine entered his mouth, followed by rustling sounds. Under the enchanting rich fragrance, Lu Changsheng's blood raced, and his body responded truthfully. Moments later, a warm, soft jade body attacked him, and he was ridden upon. Circulate your energy. A cool and pleasant voice resonated. Lu Chongqing, feeling aggrieved, began to practice the sun-moon samsara technique. Afterward. Lu Chongqing looked at the storage bag beside the pillow and let out a deep sigh. Damn it, one day he would make her recognize that his junior brother's might was unrivaled. Then in a low voice he asked, Elder, may I ask how long you plan to cultivate here? 3 months. Yun Wanshang's voice rang out, clear and cool as jewels. 3 months. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing wondered whether he should continue acting. He could pretend that the assassination indicated potential danger at home, that he was worried about his household safety, and wanted to return home quickly to take charge. If the matter was resolved and he was still alive, he would come back to help her with cultivation. But wouldn't that be a bit too fake? Just then, Yun Wanshang's voice arose. What's this about an assassination? Is she willing to help after the fact? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing felt delighted and contemplated how to phrase his story to sound more pitiful and tragic. Speak directly, or don't speak at all. Yun Wanshang's voice was cold, like a deep, tranquil pond. As a nascent soul immortal, the master of the Qingyun Sex Enforcement Hall, she might be naive and indecisive in matters of emotion, lacking decisiveness. But in other respects, she was no fool. She could see through Lu Changsheng's minor tricks at a glance. Seeing that he obviously wanted her to know and help but deliberately shied away, waiting for her to ask proactively, she intentionally refrained from asking. Now that he hinted at her through inquiring about the duration, she didn't want to beat around the bush. Elder, it was the beast-taming Su family. Lu Chongqing immediately said. Since she took the initiative to ask, it meant she was willing to help, so he would not hesitate. Regarding the matter of killing Su Gu, Lu Chongqing did not consider it a big deal to reveal it to Yun Wanshang. After all, she had helped with Lady Meng's matter before, showing great regard for their relationship. Of course, it could also be for Xiao Xie's sake, or perhaps because he had once saved Chu Qingyi. The beast-taming Su family? Yun Wanshang's brows furrowed slightly. In her view, the beast-taming Su family should have no direct feud with Lu Chongqing. Why would they go out of their way to assassinate Lu Chongqing? That person is Su Gu, the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family. For some reason, he took notice of me and laid an ambush outside Bihu Lake to kill me. If it weren't for my hidden skills. Lu Chongqing spoke in a low and aggrieved voice, as though telling a parent that he had been bullied at school. Su family's Su Gu? Yun Wanshang was familiar with this person. In his earlier years, he was also a genius of the Su family, with the potential for core formation. But, after his life-bound beast was killed by a true inheritor of the spirit-taming sect, his Dao foundation was damaged, and he never recovered. Later, he mysteriously broke through to false core. Due to this experience, Su Gu became profoundly affected by the harshness of the world, his psyche distorted, taking pleasure in bullying the weak and hunting talented cultivators. For someone like Lu Chongqing to catch Su Gu's attention was quite normal. This person likes to hunt talented cultivators. You've been too high profile these years, and without any backing, so it's normal for him to take notice. I will have someone warn him afterward. He won't dare to move against you again. Yun Wanshang spoke calmly and coolly, her voice carrying an invisible but heart-shaking authority. In her view, Lu Chongqing was also one of her own. So if one is to beat a dog, they must watch the owner. Moreover, should anything happen to Lu Chongqing, her opportunity at reaching nascent soul would be gone. This Su Gu causing trouble for Lu Chongqing was simply courting death. But facing his assassination, I had no choice but to rely on a talisman formation to kill him, Lu Chongqing said somewhat shyly. Yun Wanshang was startled and somewhat puzzled, wondering if she had heard wrong. Kill Su Gu? A foundation establishment cultivator defeating a false core immortal? She knew that Lu Chongqing had a great fortune, a big secret, concealed his cultivation level, and his power was far beyond his peers. But she had never expected Lu Chongqing to actually kill a false core immortal. And considering that Lu Chongqing had only suffered excessive consumption and mana disarray without any real injury beforehand. This was astonishing, very astonishing. After a moment of silence, her voice detachedly stated, "If he is dead, then he is dead. But I heard that years ago, when a false core patriarch of the Su family was killed by the Five Elements royal family, the family patriarch brought 2 third-order spirit beasts to the Five Elements royal family." Chapter 1079. Real person, please stand up for me. Chapter 1079. Chapter 381. Real person, please stand up for me. Lu Chongqing spoke anxiously and fearfully. Yun Wanshang found it somewhat amusing, immediately realizing what Lu Chongqing was worried about. He was afraid that the elder ancestor of the Su family might come knocking. However, in her view, Lu Chongqing's worries were somewhat unnecessary. Not to mention that the idea of someone at the foundation establishment killing a false core was too bizarre. Would the Su family even suspect Lu Chongqing? As a nascent soul immortal, the elder ancestor of Su family would not stoop as low as treating by Lake Mountain the way he dealt with the Five Elements royal family. He wouldn't demean himself. Even the elder ancestor of the Su family would feel embarrassed. If the beast-taming Su family gives you trouble, directly send me a message. Yun Wanshang's voice was clear and crisp. Shortly afterward, a 5-colored token flew into Lu Chongqing's secret chamber. This is my token, sealed with a divine skill. Should your life be in danger, you may display this token to activate the divine skill within. Upon this, Yun Wanshang realized that if Lu Chongqing encountered danger outside, it would affect her too. Hence she gave him the token. Not to mention, possessing this token, the core formation forces of the entire Jiang country cultivation realm would hesitate to move against Lu Chongqing. If indeed they did act, the divine skills might within the token could also give him an additional means to protect himself. Divine skills. Lu Chongqing looked at the token and immediately voiced his thanks. "Thank you, senior." At this moment, any minor grievances he felt for being dominated throughout were completely dispelled. So long as the other party was willing, he'd gladly bend over backwards and use every tactic available to express his gratitude. And in this moment, Lu Chongqing also realized that the character of Kai Yun True Immortal bore some similarities to his Soul Path Dreams master. A sharp tongue but a soft heart, very protective. A person who is more receptive to gentleness than coercion. Lu Chongqing felt, were it not for his early core formation and obtaining a high-quality gold core, he might have actually considered going to Qing Yun's sect for core formation. Unbeknownst to him, 3 months passed. During this time, Lu Chongqing also worried if the beast-taming Su family would directly come to his home to cause trouble. If the sensing talisman showed the slightest activity, he would immediately return to Bai Lake Mountain with Yun Wanshang. However, these 3 months were quite peaceful, and there were no incidents at home. He was completely focused on cultivation, restoring his primordial yang, and then dual cultivating with Yun Wanshang. After completing his cultivation, Yun Wanshang transformed into a divine rainbow and left. Lu Chongqing also walked out of the cave. It was pouring with a heavy rain outside. Dressed in a green robe, with a handsome and ethereal appearance, and a tall upright stature, Lu Chongqing stood in the rain, resembling a banished immortal who had accidentally wandered into the mortal world, tainted by the mundane. A gust of cold wind caressed him, and Lu Chongqing extended his hand, laughing lightly. "It's just a bit of wind and rain." Then whoosh, he rode on a violet flying shuttle, turning into a streak of escape light returning to Bai Lake Mountain. "System, draw a prize," Lu Chongqing mentally commanded. 2 months ago, the number of his descendants with martial Dao innate had reached 150, granting him the chance to draw a prize and a 3% increase in the likelihood of them having a spiritual root. Because Yun Wanshang was nearby, he hadn't used this drawing opportunity. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a bottle of Beast Origin Elixir. Reward has been dispatched to System Space. The host can check it at any time. The golden light stopped on the Elixir Medicines category. Immediately, an Elixir Medicine bottle icon emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Beast Origin Elixir? An elixir for spiritual beasts to consume? Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows upon seeing this prize. Though the most direct and simple way for demon beasts to grow is to devour and refine monster cores and demon cores of the same attribute. This method is expensive, and there are quite a few elixirs that can enhance the cultivation growth of demon beasts. However, with Hong Lian and Ancient Beast Taming Charm, Lu Chongqing rarely crafted elixirs for demon beasts. With a slight movement of his mental spirit, information about the Beast Origin Elixir appeared in the system space. Elixir, Beast Origin Elixir. Quality, 3rd order. Description: enhances the advancement speed of 3rd order demon beasts and has a purifying effect on their demon beast bloodline. Purifying the bloodline effect. Lu Chongqing's eyes narrowed slightly upon reading the description of the elixir. His family's demon beasts all possess extraordinary bloodlines. Even a slight purification of their bloodline effects counts as no small enhancement. However, considering that this is merely a 3rd order elixir, and it's an entire bottle and not a single piece, Lu Chongqing guessed its effects would be limited. A small gain is better than none. Lu Chongqing shook his head, not overly concerned. He planned to first try the effects on the 9 Netherhound later. After all, this kind of 3rd order elixir, under normal circumstances, requires at least a 2nd order demon beast to consume. And besides the 9 Netherhound, the only other 2nd order demon beast in the household was a seeking spirit mouse. He certainly wouldn't waste resources on cultivating that mouse. Upon returning home, Lu Chongqing checked with his wife, Lu Miaoyun, to see if anything had happened in the household during these days. "My husband, not long ago, the family patriarch of Qiu family from Thousand Extinction Mountain revealed a piece of news, stating that Jin Zan, the great elder of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family, was forming a false core in Jiuxiao Immortal City. The truth of this news isn't certain yet. I have already sent people to Jiuxiao Immortal City to verify." Lu Miaoyun gently raised her hand, pouring tea and water for Lu Chongqing, sharing the news. Jin Zan. Hearing this name, Lu Chongqing's eyes narrowed slightly. It has been 15 years since the incident at White Tiger Mountain. The other party had the cultivation of the 9th level of foundation establishment in his early years, so forming a false core now seemed reasonable. But previously, there had been rumors that Jin Zan was going to attempt core formation, so why did he end up forming only a false core? Was this a deliberately released false message, or was his foundation insufficient, only capable of forming a false core? Jinlong Ridge has been so quiet these years, probably waiting for Jin Zan's breakthrough. Lu Chongqing pondered internally, thinking about the calmness of Jinlong Ridge over the years. He originally planned, since there was nothing urgent at home and there had been no movement from the beast-taming Su family, to take a trip out with Ling Zixiao to solve the matter regarding the spirit vein. After Yun Wanshang finished her cultivation, he could then pick the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, form the elemental elixir, and make a breakthrough to the golden core. But if Jin Zan really had a breakthrough, Jinlong Ridge would definitely make a big move next. Sigh, I just want to cultivate in peace. Lu Chongqing sighed internally, thinking about making a trip to Jinlong Ridge to stir up some trouble. But if Jin Zan wasn't forming a false core and it turned out to be a true elixir, then it wouldn't be easy to handle. Yuner, also ask someone to keep an eye on the movements of Jinlong Ridge, and inform me immediately if there is any news. Lu Chongqing spoke to his wife. Husband. Lu Miaoyun responded softly, also aware that if this Jin family patriarch really had a breakthrough, they would definitely look for trouble with her family. Chapter 1080. Condensing Elemental Elixir. Jin Family Ceremony. Chapter 1080. Chapter 382. Condensing Elemental Elixir. Jin Family Ceremony. My lord, some days ago Fairy Su came to visit, indicating that the beast-taming Su family has been paying attention to our family and investigating our situation. At this moment, Lu Miaoyun continued speaking with a tinge of worry on her face. She didn't know why her perfectly fine family had caught the attention of the beast-taming Su family. Regarding Golden Dragon Ridge, she knew full well of her husband's prowess and had not a shred of worry. But facing the colossal beast-taming Su family, her own family seemed somewhat insignificant. Su Ruyan. When Lu Chongqing heard this, he knew that it should be related to Su Guess affairs. He thought that Su Ruyan, who is often at the beast-taming Su family, finally came in handy. Did she say anything else? Lu Chongqing inquired. Nothing else, just that there must have been some incident within the Su family that made them notice ours, and she told us to be careful. Lu Miaoyun shook her head as she spoke. It seems that the Su family has not suspected me directly, but due to Su Guess's mission to assassinate me, which ended with his death outside, it led the Su family to take note of by Lake Mountain. Lu Chongqing silently speculated. Afterward, he picked up his cup of tea, took a light sip and said aloud, "All right, there is no need to mind this matter." Lu Miaoyun responded softly. After the couple chatted for a bit, Lu Chongqing stood up to check on the children at home. He then used the Cave Mystique treasure mirror to examine their conditions. If it were not for the fact that all his wives had too low cultivation levels, Lu Chongqing would have considered passing down the Cave Mystique treasure mirror. After busying himself, Lu Chongqing returned to Chongqing Hall to release the qi, blood, and magical power sealed within the 9 treasures Rui Bone, solidifying his cultivation level. Chongqing Hall. Sigh. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a breath of turbid energy. Dual cultivation with Yun Wanshang yielded evident benefits for him. His cultivation level had now reached the peak of foundation establishment. Should he wish, he could attempt core formation at any moment. Now everything is ready except the spirit vein, Lu Chongqing mumbled to himself. Others who have reached the peak of foundation establishment and wish to attempt core formation would fret over the coagulation crystal elixir, core formation spiritual objects, and the like. They might spend most of their lives finding just 1 or 2 core formation spiritual objects, ultimately missing the prime age for breakthrough, never reaching core formation, and some might even perish in the process. But he already had everything in abundance. Not only did he have the supreme condensation elixir, but he also had a top-tier core formation spiritual object known as the 5-element spirit fruit, which is also called the golden core fruit. Then there's the Tai Dao seed that could be considered as a top-tier core formation spiritual object, along with 4 common core formation spiritual objects. In terms of cultivation techniques, he had the Sun-Moon Samsara technique that increased the chance of successful core formation and the Yin-Yang primordial elixir method that enhanced core formation quality. Besides, he possessed several spiritual bodies. The likes of the Minor Qing spiritual body and Gungjin body constitution were already impressive. But the flawless heavenly fragrance body and dragon roar physique would absolutely aid in core formation. Therefore, in such a situation, Lu Chongqing did not have to worry about the success or failure of his core formation. His only concern was the quality. It was precisely for this reason that Lu Chongqing knew the amount of nature's spiritual energy needed for his core formation would be immense. He had to enhance the spirit vein at home as much as possible to ensure a foolproof success. I wonder how much longer this Kai Yun true immortal will need to cultivate. Previously, Lu Chongqing was not too anxious. But now with core formation right before him and only needing to upgrade the family's spirit vein before he could concentrate on condensing the elemental elixir and attempt core formation, anxiety was creeping into his heart. Yet due to Yun Wanshang's situation, It was not convenient for him to break through to core formation just yet. After all, reaching core formation after only 50 years of cultivation would be too shocking and easy to attract unnecessary troubles. Let's focus on condensing elemental elixirs first. Without overthinking, Lu Chongqing began to practice the yin-yang primordial elixir method, attempting to condense the elemental elixirs. Although this secret technique was formidable, it was very time-consuming to practice. Lu Chongqing sat cross-legged, motionless, cultivating the yin-yang primordial elixir method. Within his qi ocean core, the elixir lake seemed to boil and roar, compressing all the liquid mana towards solidification. Hoo. At the same time, an expanse of nature's spiritual energy surged towards Lu Chongqing, forming a small whirlpool of spiritual energy above his head. This yin-yang primordial elixir method was a simulation of foundation establishment and core formation, condensing the liquid mana to its utmost limit to form one elemental elixir after another. When it comes time to tackle core formation, all elemental elixirs would merge as one to challenge for the immortal golden core. A month later, Lu Chongqing looked at a thumb-sized black and white elemental elixir in his qi ocean core, a faint smile appearing on his face. This was the elemental elixir of the yin-yang primordial elixir method. It looked quite ordinary at first glance. But upon closer inspection, one could see streams of yin and yang intertwined, granting it an aura of profundity. This elemental elixir hasn't enhanced my foundation nor advanced my cultivation significantly. But in times of danger, I can transform the elemental elixir into mana, which can be considered as a method as well. Lu Chongqing quietly felt the elemental elixir, sensing its pure and rich yin-yang magical power. He didn't ponder long before starting to condense the second elemental elixir. This yin-yang primordial elixir method considered 9 elemental elixirs as the initial achievement, and 36 as great success. Though it's possible to continue condensing more. But as the number of elemental elixirs grows, the difficulty of condensing them also increases exponentially. Because each elemental elixir doesn't exist in isolation. They need to be linked together to form one entity. Only by doing so can these elemental elixirs blend perfectly and be united during core formation. Moreover, as elemental elixirs continue to be condensed, the pressure on the physical body and dantian will also increase, becoming nearly unbearable, even potentially counterproductive. In the following days, Lu Chongqing calmly cultivated the yin-yang primordial elixir method at home. With the system spell infusion, third-order body refining, third-order divine sense, and Mount Sumeru bringing nature's spiritual energy right to his doorstep, condensing elemental elixirs was exceedingly simple for him. Chapter 1081. Condensing Elemental Elixir. Gene Family Ceremony. Chapter 1081. Chapter 382. Condensing Elemental Elixir. Gene Family Ceremony. It takes almost half a month to condense an elemental elixir. For ordinary cultivators, the cultivation process probably involves lots of bumps and risks, with a high chance of failure if not cautious. However, Lu Chongqing wasn't completely in closed-door cultivation. After condensing each elixir, he would step out of his cave mansion to check on his family situation. After all, he hadn't undergone serious bitter cultivation in many years, which made it hard for him to adapt to the life of secluded cultivation. Even slightly distracted, once he finished his tasks at hand, he would think of relaxing. And since he was preparing for core formation, Lu Chongqing felt he should take this time to have more children. Since once core formation is achieved, the difficulty of having children would drastically increase. Of course, the children born at that time would most likely have spiritual roots and good innate talents. Even his descendants would have higher chances of inheriting spiritual roots due to his bloodline. During this period, Xiaofan made a trip to Bai Lake Mountain. But for some reason, seeing Xiaofan made Lu Chongqing inexplicably guilty. When dual cultivating with her, he couldn't help but picture Kaiyun true immortal and thought. That day, Lu Miaoyun told Lu Chongqing that Jin Zan indeed succeeded in core formation at Jiuxiao Immortal City and became a false core immortal. Are you sure it's a false core? Lu Chongqing inquired. Yes, according to the information, when Jin Zan was forming his core, the spiritual energy cloud vortex formed was only 1 li wide. Many people witnessed this, it's difficult to fake, Lu Miaoyun softly said. Lu Chongqing nodded. With a breakthrough in core formation, if no means are used to cover it up, the quality of the core formation can usually be judged through the spiritual energy vortex. And Jiuxiao Immortal City would absolutely not cover up any celestial phenomenon for Jin Zan. One could say, there are advantages and disadvantages to forming a core in an immortal city. The advantage being, during the process, the city offers protection, preventing robber cultivators and petty people from interfering. The disadvantage, however, is that the situation of your core formation is clearly visible to others and forces alike. Is he still in Jiuxiao Immortal City or has he returned to Golden Dragon Ridge? Lu Chongqing continued to inquire. There's no information on that. Lu Miaoyun shook her head. Though Bai Lake Mountain had established a network of intelligence, it could only gather relatively simple information. All right, Yuner, keep an eye on the situation in Golden Dragon Ridge from now on. Notify me immediately of any moves from the Jin family, Lu Chongqing said with a smile, deciding to strike first. He thought to find an opportunity to eliminate the ancestor of Jin family or Jin Zan, to prevent the Jin family from causing trouble. He just wanted to focus on his cultivation and avoid entanglements with the Jin family. Rest assured, husband, Lu Miaoyun said with a sweet smile. She had already instructed her family to watch over Golden Dragon Ridge without Lu Changsheng's direction. However, Su Ge just died, and just as Jin Zan made a breakthrough, if another false core from the Jin family dies, Su family might turn their suspicion towards me. Lu Chongqing paused, suddenly realizing a problem. Small as a false core is, killing normally would be simple. If he found an opportunity, one punch would be all it takes. However, given that shortly ago Su Ge came to Bai Lake Mountain to cause trouble and died inexplicably. Now if a similar incident occurred in Golden Dragon Ridge, and since there's a long-standing feud and conflicting interests with his family, it might lead Su family to suspect him. Although he has Kai Yun True Immortal as his backer, the other party wouldn't likely confront the beast-taming Su family for his sake. At most, they would issue a warning in public. I need a persona that wouldn't lead people to suspect me. Lu Changsheng's eyes slightly narrowed. He then inquired his son Lu Yun about any famous heretic cultivators currently wanted in Jiang country, or any notable demonic path cultivators or robber cultivators in Jin Kingdom or Yu country. Heretic cultivators, demonic path cultivators? Lu Yun was somewhat surprised, wondering why his father was asking this. He didn't ask much, and immediately went to collect and sort this information for Lu Chongqing. Days later, Lu Chongqing looked at the jade scroll his son had prepared. It included information about all wanted heretic and demonic cultivators in the Jiang country cultivation realm. Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan were still notably listed among them. One could say, such warrants were mostly for intimidation effects. Unless the four great immortal sects spent a considerable cost to hire a diviner to predict the movements and set a trap for execution. Otherwise, capturing them through ordinary cultivators' reports would be highly difficult. A moment later, Lu Chongqing found a suitable identity for himself. Huazi. This woman was originally an elder of Huanin's sect, but for some unknown reason, she fled the sect. When she reappeared in public eyes, she had already condensed a false core and even killed a false core true pillmaster from Huanin's sect. However, what truly caught Lu Changsheng's attention wasn't this woman named Huazi, but the body-refining cultivator accompanying her. This body-refining cultivator's identity wasn't detailed. It only mentioned that Huazi could kill a false core true pillmaster from Huanin's sect and retreat safely, all thanks to this nascent soul body cultivator. Body refinement, bewitching technique. Isn't that a perfect match? Lu Chongqing thought of his Thousand Faces puppet fox. As long as he acted together with the Thousand Faces puppet fox, presumably, no one would suspect him. As for why these two would appear in Qingyun region, why they would kill Jin Zan or the ancestor of Jin family, is that important? They are already considered heretic cultivators. Being in a bad mood and killing a false core true pillmaster is quite normal, right? However, it might not be easy to wait for them to leave home. Lu Chongqing thought of another issue. Staking out is a technical task, highly testing one's patience. Before, Su Ge had spent months waiting outside by Lake Mountain for him. Lu Chongqing had never done such strenuous work before. Forget it, as long as the Jin family makes a move, they will naturally come out. Chapter 1082. Condensing Elemental Elixir. Jin Family Ceremony. Chapter 1082. Chapter 382. Condensing Elemental Elixir. Jin Family Ceremony. Lu Chongqing was not overly worried. Now that Jin Zan has achieved the false core breakthrough, As long as he stabilizes his realm, he will undoubtedly take significant action. When that time comes, opportunities will surely arise for himself. A month later, Lu Chongqing received an invitation. Half a year later, Great Elder Jin Zan of Golden Dragon Ridge is to hold a core formation ceremony, inviting families and powers in the vicinity to attend the ceremony. TSKS, a core formation ceremony. Lu Chongqing looked at the invitation, clucking his tongue in reflection. Although in the eyes of high-rank cultivators, a false core immortal barely counts as a true nascent soul immortal, for the surrounding family forces, a false core immortal is already a towering existence. Once the news of this ceremony spreads, it's estimated that the surrounding family powers will all be terrified. Sister Miaoga, let's go together when the time comes. Lu Chongqing discussed this event with his wife, Lu Miaoga. They planned to attend the core formation ceremony together and gauge the Jin family's attitude, and also look for an opportunity to take down Jin Zan, or perhaps the ancestor of Jin family. All right. Lu Miaoga, holding their son Lu Qingxian, responded in a gentle voice. Although their son is young, his personality is very similar to their daughter Lu Qingzu's during her childhood, very quiet. Their daughter Lu Qingqi is more like Lu Qingshan, much more mischievous. Several days later, Lu Yuanzhong by Yunyang, and family patriarchs from Tai Mulam Mo family, Shi Shuining family and other families, visited Bihu Mountain to consult Lu Changsheng's opinion on the Jin family's core formation ceremony. These families were part of a cooperative alliance. Even though more than 10 years have passed since the incident at White Tiger Mountain. But they all understood that now Jin Zan has achieved the false core breakthrough, he would surely start expanding his territory and likely target White Tiger Mountain. If Golden Dragon Ridge takes over White Tiger Mountain, Tai Mulam and Shi Shuining family would definitely be anxious and fearful. There's no need to worry. My wife Lu Miaoga and I have both broken through to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. With our dual cultivation technique, even if we face a false core immortal, we will have the strength to fight. Lu Chongqing, in a blue magical robe, with a face gentle as jade, said steadily. Hiss! 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 The family patriarchs in the Great Hall, hearing this, were all deeply shocked and gasped in astonishment. Although they had guessed as much when Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga defeated Jin Zan back then, now that Lu Chongqing had confirmed it, they were still startled. After all, being able to fight a false core at the mid-stage of foundation establishment. What if they both later break through to the late stage of foundation establishment? Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga, at such a young age, achieving the mid-stage of foundation establishment means they have a high chance of advancing to the late stage in the future. For a moment, everyone's gaze towards Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga was filled with a slight reverence. After the meeting, the families bid their farewells and left. Lu Yuanzhong, however, did not directly return but spoke to Lu Chongqing about a matter. The third cultivator of foundation establishment on Qingzhou Mountain had already achieved breakthrough, only it had not been disclosed publicly. Therefore, Lu Yuanzhong harbored the intent of acquiring a second spirit land. However, he inclined towards letting Lu Changhua lead a branch to a remote area to look for an unowned spirit land to start from scratch. Because there are only a few ways to acquire a spirit land. Either pioneer it, buy it, or snatch it. Certainly, they couldn't afford to buy. As for snatching, Qingzhou Mountain's current strength was feasible. But Qingzhou Mountain's relationship with Bai Lake Mountain was too close, almost like branches of the same tree. Any major move by Qingzhou Mountain would surely affect Bai Lake Mountain and raise suspicions of involvement. And since Bai Lake Mountain was already flourishing and under intense scrutiny by many powers, it's easy for both families to attract trouble if Qingzhou Mountain engaged in such activities now. Pioneering. Lu Chongqing, hearing this, narrowed his eyes. He had researched spirit lands in depth in his early years, knowing that for most families, pioneering was the only choice. Uncle, Changhua has just broken through foundation establishment. You need not rush this. You can wait until he reaches the third level of foundation establishment or the mid-stage before considering this matter. Lu Chongqing thus said. Pioneering was not easy. Even for a foundation establishment cultivator, there could be dangers. I just had this idea, and was asking for your advice, Lu Yuanzhong said so. In fact, he had another reason not unveiled. His clan was now too closely connected with Bai Lake Mountain. Should Bai Lake Mountain face any disaster one day, Qingzhou Mountain would also be inevitably subject to the risk of annihilation. With Lu Changhua establishing a branch in a remote area to pioneer a new site, they could preserve a line of descent in case of such events. However, these words he naturally wouldn't disclose, only preparing for the worst-case scenario. I do not know much about this, uncle. You should make a decision among yourselves. Lu Chongqing said softly, not intending to interfere too much with Qingzhou Mountain's matters. 3 months later, Yun Wanshang sent another message, asking Lu Chongqing to help cultivate. Lu Chongqing immediately sank all his elemental elixirs into the elixir lake. As long as Yun Wanshang didn't inspect his Qi ocean core with her divine sense, she would not notice these elemental elixirs. During this cultivation session, Lu Chongqing asked Yun Wanshang approximately how long the cultivation would take. Yun Wanshang indicated it would still be 3 months. Once this cultivation session ends, she should conclude with one more session. So soon? Lu Chongqing was inwardly surprised. His yin-yang energies indeed had the effect of nurturing golden cores, but the effect was very minor. To advance the true elixir to golden core, or a third-rank golden core to second rank, constant effort was needed. However, he immediately understood the underlying reason. Based on the understanding from the soul path dreams about the spirit phoenix marrow body, this spiritual body could nurture and strengthen the spirit-nurturing energy through dual cultivation. While his yin-yang energies were not spirit-nurturing energy, they were closely related and presumably could be nurtured and strengthened within the counterpart's body for nourishing the golden core. Probably during this past half-year, the counterpart wasn't just allowing him to rest, but also consolidating her own state. Understanding this, Lu Chongqing also felt slightly pleased. He really worried that Yun Wanshang might drag out the cultivation for 3 or 5 years, which would truly be exhausting. However, after 2 months into this trip for cultivation due to the Jin family's core formation celebration, Lu Chongqing had to return early without completing the 3 months. On this matter, Yun Wanshang didn't say much, but merely uttered a clear and calm yes, then turned into a rainbow and left. Let's go, Sister Miaoga. After returning to Bai Lake Mountain, and when the day of the Jin family's core formation ceremony arrived, Lu Chongqing and his wife Lu Miaoga set out for Golden Dragon Ridge to attend Jin Zan's core formation ceremony. Chapter 1083. Duel. Defeat Jin Zan again. Chapter 1083. Chapter 383. Duel. Defeat Jin Zan again. Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga did not head directly to Golden Dragon Ridge. Instead, they first came to White Tiger Mountain to inquire about the recent situation. Because of Jin Zan's breakthrough to false core, White Tiger Mountain has been in a semi-closed state for the past half-year. The puppet business either requires escort guards for delivery or cooperation from allies who come in person, which is very cautious and prudent. Father and Lu Qingsong and Lu Xianji report the affairs of the White Tiger Mountain to their family. After roughly hearing the report, Lu Chongqing sighed in his heart when he saw that his son Lu Xianji was still at the 6th level energy refinement cultivation level. This son is a 9th grade spiritual root and busy with affairs. Even with high-rank breakthrough elixirs, it is not easy to break through to the energy refinement late stage. After feeding a beast origin elixir to the 9 Netherhound, Lu Chongqing piloted the flying boat and headed to Golden Dragon Ridge with Lu Miaoga. Golden Dragon Ridge is a majestic and sprawling range of mountains. From a high vantage point, it looks like a huge azure dragon is coiling. Under the cover of the Jin family's mountain protection array, the mountain range glows with a faint golden hue of spiritual light, appearing from a distance like a fierce and powerful golden dragon. At this moment, Golden Dragon Ridge is bustling with activity. Many cultivators are coming and going at the mountain gate. As soon as the spirit boat piloted by Lu Chongqing stopped outside Golden Dragon Ridge's mountain gate, a Foundation establishment elder of the Jin family came forward to welcome them. Mountain Lord Lu, Lady Lu, it is an honor to have you here. Please come inside. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, took out a brocade box, and said aloud, "Congratulations to the great elder of the Jin family, Jin Zan, on the joy of core formation." Since they came to attend the ceremony, naturally, they had to bring a gift. Otherwise, it would seem too petty on their part. Mountain Lord Lu, you are too kind. The Foundation establishment elder opened the brocade box and took a brief look, his pupils slightly contracting. After whispering to an usher beside him, he invited the two to enter Golden Dragon Ridge. Master of Bihu Mountain, Mountain Lord Lu and the Patriarch's Lady have arrived, presenting a second-tier top-level spirit talisman. The usher immediately announced loudly. Mountain Lord Lu Chongqing from Bihu Mountain. Then this must be his wife Lu Miaoga, right? They really are a pair of divine immortals. It is said that the Lu couple cultivates a dual cultivation technique, and their combat strength is astonishing. I wonder how strong they are now. I heard that it was the Lu couple who defeated ancestor Jin, who is holding the core formation ceremony, and thus made a name for themselves with one battle. Unexpected that they also came to attend the ceremony. After all, the two families haven't completely fallen out. It's normal for them to attend the ceremony. Not only that, but I also heard that the great elder of the Jin family originally intended to push for true elixir, but due to defeat at the hands of the Lu couple and preparing core formation spiritual object as an apology, he had to settle for a false core. Shoo, is that true? If so, don't the two families have a huge grudge? If that's the case, there will be a good show to watch. Many people glanced covertly at Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga, whispering among themselves. Led by the Jin family, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga arrived at a mountain villa. The place was already filled with guests who had arrived for the ceremony, with many familiar faces among them. As they saw Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga arriving, they all greeted them, clasping their fists and nodding. Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga were invited into the main hall of the mountain villa to take their seats. Inside the hall, ancestor of the Jin family and the newly advanced false core patriarch Jin Zan were seated in the most honored positions. Upon seeing them, they politely said, "Haha, Mountain Lord Lu, Lady Lu, it's been a long time. Ancestor Jin, Elder Jin, congratulations." Lu Chongqing congratulated with a smile. Although he was thinking of finding an opportunity to kill the two, he was still polite on the surface. "Congratulations, Elder Jin, on the joy of core formation." Lu Miaoga also congratulated in a follow-up manner. "Haha, thanks to Mountain Lord Lu and Lady Lu. Without that battle back then, Jin might not have been able to understand my true heart and succeed in forming a core." Jin Zan said with a smile that did not quite reach his eyes. Hiss. Other cultivators in the hall were startled upon hearing this, their expressions revealing their doubt. They didn't expect that the great elder of the Jin family was in such a confrontational mood from the start. It seemed the grudge between the two families was hard to bury. The main thing is that Elder Jin has an exceptional talent, great determination, and strong will, Lu Chongqing said, pretending not to catch the underlying meaning in Jin Zan's words, and continued to smile. In his eyes, Jin Zan was already a dead man. As the saying goes, the dead should be respected, so why bother with such trivialities? After the two took their seats, the ceremony continued. This process was nothing more than drinking and chatting, discussing some matters within the cultivation world, news or talking about business cooperation. The Jin family took the opportunity to showcase their own strength and talk about the family's general plans and such nonsensical matters. Just when the drinking was nearly over, Jin Zan, holding a wine cup, came to Lu Chongqing's table and spoke. "Mountain Lord Lu, Lady Lu, I have always wanted to have another opportunity to learn from you after my defeat at your hands back then. Now that there is a chance, I wonder if the two of you could fulfill this long-cherished wish of mine." Jin Zan's hair and beard were like thick ink, his face commanding respect, and though his voice was calm and polite, it was filled with a provocative undertone. Anyone could hear that he was challenging them, seeking to regain his honor. Teske, the great elder of Jin family really isn't afraid of losing face. Just after breaking through to false core, he's challenging two foundation establishment cultivators. Not only does Jin Zan want to regain lost honor, but he also wants to test the strength of Mountain Lord Lu and his wife. It seems that the Jin family intends to make a move against Bihu Mountain, and is using this opportunity to test their strength. After all, when the Lu couple joined forces back in the day, they were almost on par with someone at the foundation establishment peak. Now more than a decade later, their strength is unknown. Most of the family patriarchs present had a look of watching a show on their faces. Although most of them did not want to see the rise of the Jin family, neither did they wish for Bihu Mountain's rise. They were quite happy to see Golden Dragon Ridge and Bihu Mountain entangled in conflict. Ideally, they would fight to the death. Chapter 1084. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. Chapter 1084. Chapter 383. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. Lu Yuanzhong by Yunyang, and some other foundation establishment cultivators on good terms with Bai Lake Mountain had grave expressions, looking at Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga with some concern. Although Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga had previously stated, Their strength now enabled them to battle a false core immortal. They were still inevitably worried in their hearts. Elder Jean has now achieved the status of a false core immortal. How could my wife and I possibly be your opponents? Lu Chongqing did not expect the other party to pull such a move, and he immediately voiced his refusal. Such a matter would be thankless. No matter win or lose, it could bring trouble to his own family. Lu Mountain Lord is truly too modest. The dual cultivation technique that you and Lady Lu possess is indeed a rarity in Jean's life, and I have always wanted to experience it once more. Of course, Jean will not let Lu Mountain Lord and Lady Lu make a move for nothing. Win or lose, Jean is willing to present a copper mine from the Black Cloud Mountain Range as a gift. Jean Zan continued to speak. Upon these words, there was a stir among everyone present. No one expected Jean Zan to be so generous. A copper mine, no matter the circumstances, was worth tens of thousands of spirit stones. Spending tens of thousands of spirit stones just to cross swords with Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge? However, the people in the hall were not fools. They understood that the more Jean Zan did this, the more determined he was to take action against Bai Lake Mountain. If Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge's strength was not as expected, they would find an excuse to make a move against Bai Lake Mountain. A copper mine. Lu Chongqing hesitated in his heart and still refused aloud. Lu someone only wishes to care for himself and study the arts of talisman making and alchemy, not skilled in fighting techniques. He decided in his heart that after the Jean family celebration, he would squat at Golden Dragon Ridge for 3 months. It seems that Lu Mountain Lord looks down upon the small gains from the copper mine. Jean Zan relentlessly continued, since that's the case, let's up the ante. If Jean loses, Lu Mountain Lord can propose any condition. But if Jean wins, Lu Mountain Lord just needs to cede White Tiger Mountain willingly. White Tiger Mountain's Zhao family and my Jean family are long-standing allies. When the Zhao family once invited Jean for assistance, I was unable to contribute, leading to their destruction, which is a regret in my heart. I have always wanted to return White Tiger Mountain to the Zhao family, so I ask Lu Mountain Lord not to refuse. Jean Zan's smile gradually faded from his face, staring straight at Lu Chongqing with a calm and indifferent tone that was domineering and forceful. If this were in the past, he would never have wasted so much time with Lu Chongqing. However, Bai Lake Mountain not only had the Lu couple but also had Lu Qingshan. This Lu Qingshan was too monstrous. After learning that Lu Qingshan had asked for a sword from Heavenly Sword Sect and was invincible among his peers, they had sent people to Yu country to understand the situation about Lu Qingshan. Knowing that Lu Qingshan had gained the first place in the Jinyang Sect's sword trial during his Qi refinement realm and was promoted to true inheritor. Afterward, he conquered the 5 sects competition in Yu country, went on to challenge various immortal sects overpowering his peers, earning the title Little Sword Immortal. Such a prodigious talent, as long as he does not die young, is destined to achieve core formation. Because of Lu Qingshan, they wanted to take action against Bai Lake Mountain but were cautious in their hearts, not daring to go too far. So they thought of taking back White Tiger Mountain in this manner, without spilling blood and with full justification. The villain shows his true colors when he's desperate. Lu Chongqing coldly sneered to himself. Now that many of his family's businesses had moved to White Tiger Mountain, he naturally would not give it up willingly. However, seeing the other party's stance, he understood that if he refused again, they would take the opportunity to make a move on White Tiger Mountain. White Tiger Mountain's Zhao family is a vassal to Mai Bai Lake Mountain, and they are living well on White Tiger Mountain right now, so where does this talk of destruction come from? However, since Elder Jean has said so much, it would be ungrateful of Lu someone to continue refusing. As long as Elder Jean can provide a corresponding stake, my wife and I are willing to accept this wager. Lu Chongqing was no longer so polite, speaking indifferently. Since the other party insisted on fighting, fine. But the benefits must be substantial. He happened to seize this opportunity to reveal his false core combat power along with Lu Miaoge, deterring the surrounding families and then focusing on cultivating for core formation. He actually agreed. Does Lu Chongqing truly have confidence in defeating Jean Zan? Jean Zan just recently broke through to false core and doesn't possess magical treasures or divine skills. Perhaps Lu Chongqing has seen through this point. Even without divine skills or magical treasures, a false core immortal is not comparable to a foundation establishment cultivator. The cultivators present heard Lu Chongqing speak in such a way, all looking towards him and Lu Miaoge, wondering where his confidence came from. I have a second-order spirit land under the name of Golden Dragon Ridge, called Qinia Mountain, as a stake. How about it? Jin Zan, seeing Lu Chongqing agree, spoke out directly. Others feared the strength of the Lu couple, believing that together they were on par with a false core immortal, maybe even able to kill one. But in his heart, he was very clear that this was exactly the rumor that his family had spread. Even if the Lu couple had both made breakthroughs to the mid-stage of foundation establishment and had greatly increased their strength, he still did not believe they would be his match. After all, foundation establishment and false core are entirely different levels. It's not until one breaks through to false core that one understands the chasm-like gap between them. Qinia Mountain? Hearing this, Lu Chongqing took out a jade slip from his storage bag to review. This was a power distribution map of the Qingyun region. When he saw the location of Qinia Mountain, Lu Chongqing shook his head. This Qinia Mountain is too far from my by Lake Mountain. I remember that Monkey Hill's Tao family is a vassal to your Golden Dragon Ridge, right? If Elder Jean is willing to stake Monkey Hill as the bet, and then add 30,000 spirit stones, someone is willing to accept this gamble. Lu Chongqing looked at the power distribution map in his hand, and said after a moment of contemplation. Chapter 1085. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. Chapter 1085. Chapter 383. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. Monkey Hill was not far from White Tiger Mountain, where the family ran a spiritual wine business and planted spirit fruit trees all over the mountains. If it could be brought under our own name, it would also boost our family's spiritual wine business. Upon hearing this, the face of an elder not far away stiffened. He didn't expect Lu Changsheng's bet with Jin Zan to drag his own family into this affair. Very well, very well, very well. Jin Zan was so infuriated by Lu Changsheng's actions that he laughed out of anger. The bet hasn't even started, and you're already choosing a spirit land? Do you really think you can beat me? Jin Zan said coldly. All right, since Lu Mountain Lord is willing to accept, this elder can make the decision. If you win, Monkey Hill will belong to your by Lake Mountain, and I'll give you 30,000 spirit stones. After speaking, he turned to the Tao-named foundation establishment cultivator nearby and said, Daoist Tao, rest assured, if this old one truly loses, I will compensate you with Qinia Mountain. I naturally trust Elder Jean. The Tao-named foundation establishment cultivator replied with a salute. Although he believed in Jin Zan's victory, his heart was still filled with bitterness. Monkey Hill had been run by his family for nearly 100 years, and now it was being bet away just like that. If Jin Zan lost and they really had to move, it would take time, money, and effort to re-establish the family's business, the mountain protection array, and so forth, which would severely damage their vital energy. But since Jin Zan, the false core patriarch, had spoken, he had no room to refuse. Fine, then let's set up a spiritual contract. Lu Chongqing spoke up. Even in such public presence, the Jin family couldn't possibly go back on their word. But who knows if the Jin family would play tricks at the time. For instance, sabotaging the mountain protection array, the spirit vein, and the ample spirit fruits on Monkey Hill. Jin Zan, seeing Lu Chongqing even wanting to sign a spiritual contract, was utterly furious. Suppressing the rage in his heart, he signed the spiritual contract with Lu Chongqing. Then he said coldly, Lu Mountain Lord, Lady Lu, I happen to have a barren mountain at Golden Dragon Ridge that can serve as the battleground, please proceed. Now that his purpose was achieved, he was too lazy to be polite and did not wish to idle talk with Lu Chongqing. If any of you have leisure, feel free to come and watch the battle to bear witness. Jin Zan told the cultivators in the hall. Back then at White Tiger Mountain, he had been beaten by Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge and fled in a sorry state, losing face. Today, he wanted to regain his honor in front of a public audience, to utterly discredit Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. Of course. All the cultivators in the hall appeared eager to watch the excitement. They wanted to see the strength of Jin Zan, the newly promoted false core immortal. They also wanted to see the current combat prowess of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. All right. Lu Chongqing gave Lu Yuanzhong and others a reassuring look, then holding his wife's hand, went out with Jin Zan and others. The cultivators outside the villa, seeing the foundation establishment ancestors walking out of the Great Hall, were clueless about what was happening. However, as several foundation establishment ancestors took their disciples to watch the battle, many people followed to join in the excitement. but they could only control their magic artifacts to chase after them miserably, completely unable to keep up with the Foundation establishment escape light. Moments later. Atop a barren mountain in Golden Dragon Ridge. Lu Mountain Lord Lady Lu, please proceed. Jin Zan, dressed in brocade and jade, stood with an air of authority and confidence, his hands folded behind his back, exuding an imposing and confident demeanor. All right. Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge exchanged looks, then interlocked their fingers as mana began to circulate within them. Due to the practice of the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, their mana was now even more harmonious, as if they were one entity. As their magic power flowed, Lu Miaoge raised the Tai Chi Talisman. This spiritual artifact had been reforged by Lu Chongxing and had been upgraded to a top-grade spiritual tool, significantly increasing its power. The Tai Chi Talisman burst forth with dazzling golden light, strands of yin-yang energy swirling within it, transforming into a small golden sword that zoomed towards Jin Zan. This strike, it's already not weaker than a late-stage Foundation establishment. The Lu couple indeed live up to their reputation. Among the spectating cultivators, although there were no false core immortals, there were quite a few late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators who could see the depth of Lu Changsheng's strike. Clang! Jin Zan did not dodge or flinch when faced with the Tai Chi Talisman's sword assault, and a series of fierce and violent golden protective auras surged around him. This protective aura was different from the ordinary protective aura, filled with aggressiveness, directly stopping the Tai Chi Talisman sword outside. Clang, clang, clang. The Tai Chi Talisman sword continuously chopped on the golden light barrier, sending sparks flying, but unable to penetrate Jin Zan's golden protection. Hiss, is this the power of a false core immortal? Even if it's just a false core, there's a huge chasm between it and Foundation establishment. The Foundation establishment cultivators at the scene looked at Jin Zan, who was full of golden light and a domineering presence, with eyes filled with longing and awe. For most people present, achieving false core in this lifetime would be considered the greatest pursuit of life. As for forming a true elixir, that was simply too far and uncertain. Lu Mountain Lord Lady Lu, if you don't use your full strength, you won't stand a chance. Jin Zan looked at Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge somewhat mockingly, then let out a loud roar. Roar, roar, roar. Instantly, dragon-like roars erupted from within him. A spiritual artifact that resembled both a spear and a sword, enveloped in layers of golden aura, appeared, emitting strong mana waves. Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact, the Golden Dragon Seal. This spiritual artifact already possesses the aura of magical treasures. It can be considered a quasi-magical treasure. No wonder Jin Zan is so confident. It turns out his life-bound spiritual artifact has already been nurtured into a quasi-magical treasure. The Lu couple are already unable to break Jin Zan's body-protecting magic barrier. It's going to be difficult to withstand his offense. The Lu couple still have their final tactic, the talisman formation. Now, let's see if Lu Changsheng's talisman formation can suppress this great elder of the Jin family. The spectating cultivators looked at the formidable golden dragon seal with a dragon shadow wrapped around it, all of them with grave expressions. At this moment, a false core immortal's cultivation could not make any further progress. Chapter 1086. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. _4 Chapter 1086. Chapter 383. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. _4 Hence, the major factors determining the combat power of a false core immortal are magical treasures and divine skills. Golden Dragon Annihilation / Jin Zan, holding an artifact in both hands, shouted loudly. The flood dragon shadow above his head almost materialized, filling heaven and earth with a sharp and domineering aura, as if it meant to annihilate all beings. Cultivators spectating around felt this terrifying sharp killing intent as if falling into an ice cellar. Immediately, some cultivators with weaker cultivation levels repeatedly moved back to avoid being injured by the residual energy. Standing outside the battlefield was already so threatening, not to mention facing Jin Zan directly like Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge. Buzz! Lu Miaoge promptly performed a gesture incantation with one hand, summoning her yin-yang energies bottle. The yin-yang energies bottle instantly formed a layer of azure light, in which a yin-yang fish slowly swam, mysteriously captivating. Boom! 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 The flood dragon roared, golden light flickering fiercely and wildly. The flow of the yin and yang energies rendered the azure light barrier continuously torn under the terrible onslaught of the flood dragon. However, this light screen was much tougher than the typical shields of Foundation establishment cultivators. Moreover, it possessed an endlessly growing momentum, which, even if momentarily torn and damaged, could immediately recover. Indeed, the Lu couple is extraordinary, actually capable of contending against a false core immortal. But just like this, the two of them have no chance of defeating Jin Zan. Seeing the confrontation, all cultivators looked solemn. Although Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge appeared to be at a disadvantage now. They knew, if it were themselves facing Jin Zan, facing such an attack, they would likely have already been defeated. Wind-fire formation. At this moment, Lu Chongsheng employed his famous technique, the talisman formation. After all, merely relying on the couple's combat abilities to suppress Jin Zan, who was a false core immortal, was indeed a bit bold. It still had to depend on this talisman formation to bluff their way through. However, being able to win Hoer Mountain and 30,000 spirit stones, this talisman formation was worth it. Whiz whiz whiz. One after another, spirit talismans streamed out from Lu Changsheng's sleeves, causing everyone to look on in shock. Because such methods as talisman formation were mostly heard of and never seen by most people. And most people who use talismans on a daily basis would at most use 2 or 3. They had never seen such a sight. So this is a talisman formation. Hundreds of talismans, refining talismans into a formation, truly astonishing. No wonder Lu Chongsheng was able to defeat 3 Foundation establishment cultivators from the Yu family shortly after breaking through to Foundation establishment. With such techniques and enough talismans, even an initial stage of Foundation establishment could defeat someone in the late stage of Foundation establishment. But this talisman formation really burns through money. This brief moment must be costing tens of thousands of spirit stones, right? Indeed, probably Lu Chongsheng was reluctant to agree to a contest earlier, also because it's too costly. Who could withstand such expenses? Spectating cultivators were surprised and emotional upon seeing this scene. Even the ancestor of the Jin family showed a trace of solemnity on his face upon seeing these continuously emerging talismans. Humph! Talisman formation. Jin Zan saw these talismans, and with disdain, snorted coldly. He had been defeated by Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge in the past due to this talisman formation technique. Now daring to challenge Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge, he naturally came prepared. Chaos bead. Jin Zan let out a long howl, and a fist-sized red bead appeared above his head. Buzz! The bead circled around, bursting forth with layers of twilight. As the talisman formation had just taken shape and the magic power mechanism started to merge, in this moment it was instantly disrupted and scattered by Jin Zan's mana. This is an exotic treasure that can disrupt the magic power mechanism, specifically countering talisman formations and battle formations. Someone spotted this chaos bead and exclaimed loudly. No wonder Jin Zan is so confident. With this chaos bead, Lu Changsheng's talisman formation can hardly form properly, and even if it forms, its power will be significantly weakened. It seems the Lu couple is going to suffer a setback. Many cultivators felt regret seeing this scene. They still wanted to witness the power of Lu Changsheng's talisman formation, eventually resulting in a Pyrrhic victory situation. Lu Yuanzhong and others looked worried upon seeing this. If today Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge were defeated by Jin Zan, not only would they lose White Tiger Mountain, but they would also likely face relentless suppression from the Jin family. Chaos bead, quite interesting. Lu Chongsheng saw this red bead, chuckled lightly. With one hand performing a gesture incantation, he shouted lowly, 99 mysterious true strategy, arise. The opponent indeed had an exotic treasure that disrupted the talisman formation, but he naturally had measures to suppress the talisman formation. Buzz buzz buzz. A black iron sphere with flowing dark light appeared in Lu Changsheng's hands, shooting out numerous black iron talismans. Due to limited resources and divine sense earlier, Lu Chongsheng had only forged 18,099 mysterious true talismans. Now his divine sense was comparable to a nascent soul immortal, and he didn't have a handy magical treasure, so naturally, he crafted this complete 99 mysterious true strategy. Whiz whiz whiz. In an instant, every 4,500 mysterious true talismans formed a pillar of heaven, a total of 8 pillars, suppressing in all 8 directions. The talisman formation, which had its magic power mechanism disrupted by the chaos bead, was instantly reformed and arranged in all 4 directions. Once the wind-fire formation was complete, violent winds immediately swept through, and fierce flames rolled, covering a part of the heavens, enveloping Jin Zan within. Ha! Jin Zan, startled by this scene, roared out loud, "Chaos bead break!" Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The chaos bead above his head erupted like a volcano, stirring up layers of twilight, sweeping in all directions. Then, the golden dragon square heaven stakes in his hands burst forth with an endless intimidating golden luster, like a vast ocean spreading, with a mighty and overwhelming force, aiming to break through the talisman formation. However, under the suppression of 64,099 mysterious true talismans, the talisman formation held steady like a mountain, with fierce winds and raging flames bombarding Jin Zan, engulfing him entirely. But Jin Zan was indeed worthy of being a false core immortal. Chapter 1087. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. _5 Chapter 1087. Chapter 383. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. _5 Confronting the tumultuous onslaught. His entire being was shrouded in golden light, ferocious and powerful. Swinging the golden dragon square mallet in hand, it seemed as though flood dragons were roaring ferociously, indestructible, tearing the heavens asunder. Upon seeing this, Lu Miaoga immediately switched from defense to attack. The yin and yang energies surged towards the sky, spiraling above the talisman formation, as if suppressing the golden mallet. The Tai Chi talisman transformed into a small sword and pierced into the center of the talisman formation. Hiss, what is this? It actually stabilized the talisman formation. I've heard that a talisman cultivator's magic artifact is called a talismanic weapon. This must be one of them. It seems that Lu Chongqing really has obtained some talismanic inheritance, becoming a talisman cultivator. Not only refining multiple talismans into a formation, but also controlling such a complex talismanic weapon. His divine sense must be as strong as someone at the peak of foundation establishment, right? Is this the might of a talisman formation? Absolutely terrifying. Spectating cultivators looked on in amazement, their hearts full of surprise. Today's magical duel, in just a moment of exchange, was filled with suspense, gripping everyone's heart. Boom! At that moment, a ground-shaking sound erupted from the wind-fire formation. The golden mallet wielder's hair whipped wildly. His body burst with golden light, and his aura climbed intensely, seemingly about to collapse the heavens, as he bombarded the talisman formation. This image was incredibly breathtaking. All the cultivators present were terrified, feeling the horror of the clash between the two sides. Energy-refining cultivators who had come to watch the battle could now only sense the ocean-like terrifying might from afar, no longer able to clearly see the contest. Hiss! The golden mallet is using some kind of secret technique. He's prepared to fight with his life. Someone with the pupil skill noticed something was off with the golden mallet within the talisman formation and couldn't help but exclaimed aloud. At this revelation, many showed surprised expressions. The monks of the Jin family, especially Ancestor Jin, looked uneasy. He never expected this supposedly certain bet to turn out like this. This made him look towards Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga, who were clasped together like divine lovers, with a hint of dread in his eyes. If the golden mallet was no match for them, it meant that even a direct confrontation would likely not favor him. To kill these two, one must wait until they are alone, and absolutely cannot let Lu Chongqing engage the talisman formation. Ancestor Jin's eyes narrowed slightly, pondering in his heart. It was now impossible to confront by Lake Mountain straight on. The only option was to look for an opportunity to strike at Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga in the dark. Elder Jin, if you admit defeat now, it's still not too late. At this moment, Lu Chongqing spoke towards the golden mallet in the talisman formation. Although he could take this opportunity to severely injure or even suppress the golden mallet completely, doing so would bring about many unnecessary troubles. Kill! The golden mallet ignored him, like a crazed demon, his eyes wild and domineering, soul-shaking, and he continued to roar angrily. He could not accept this outcome. He had formed a false core and had spent a fortune at Jiuxiao Immortal City to bid on a chaos bead that could disturb mana mechanisms and formations. Yet still, he was no match for Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga. Lu Chongqing remained calm and indifferent, beginning to detonate the talisman formation. Boom, 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 boom. Boom! Boom! With every explosion of a talisman, everyone present trembled in fear. The talisman formation was far too terrifying. Anyone trapped within would be chilled to the bone. Under several assaults, the golden mallet's protective aura was blasted open. His body scorched, and then he spat out fresh blood, his face pale and breath feeble. Lu Mountain Lord, please hold back, this battle is lost by our Jin family, Ancestor Jin said, seeing the situation. Continuing the fight would mean the golden mallet would be severely injured if not killed. And he could see that something was wrong with the golden mallet, who had turned manic and lost coherence. I'm not willing to accept this. Seeing Lu Chongqing stop, the golden mallet roared and spat out another mouthful of blood, fainting. Today was supposed to be the joyous celebration of his core formation, expected to be splendid. He had hoped to take this opportunity to wash away previous humiliation and reclaim White Tiger Mountain. But instead, he was defeated by Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, in front of such a large crowd. It likely wouldn't be long before this affair spread throughout the entire Qingyun region, even across the Jiang country cultivation realm. Everyone would know that he, Jin Zan the false core immortal, had challenged 2 foundation establishment cultivators and lost. We've won. The Lu couple has actually won. This. Although they relied on the talisman formation, such combat strength is astounding. If there were enough talismans, I suspect Lu Chongqing could directly suppress Jin Zan. By Lake Mountain, Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge. Seeing Jin Zan pass out, everyone's expressions were shocked, incredulous, and in utter disbelief at Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. No one had expected Jin Zan to lose so miserably, so completely. Especially Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang. Both were completely speechless at this moment, feeling as if they were in a dream. They had both broken through foundation establishment earlier than Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. But now, while they were still loitering at the initial stage of foundation establishment, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge had grown to be able to suppress a true pill master. Ancestor Jin, such a fight is hard to pull back from for someone like me. Please forgive me. Lu Chongqing gathered the 99 mysterious true strategy, looking greatly spent, and gave a slight bow to Ancestor Jin. Fighting technique is blind. Mountain Lord Lu need not take it to heart. As for the bet, the issues with Monkey Hill and the Spirit Stones, this old man will make arrangements for Mountain Lord Lu. Ancestor Jin took a deep breath and said with a solemn voice to Lu Chongqing. He then checked on Jin Zan, saw that it was only injuries and blood loss causing fainting, and had people take Jin Zan back to rest. Now that the battle has concluded, everyone please return to Golden Dragon Villa. Chapter 1088. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. _6 Chapter 1088. Chapter 383. Gamble Fight. Defeat Jin Zan again. _6 Ancestor of Jin family spoke up loudly to the spectators, indicating he was somewhat bored with the core formation ceremony. Everyone returned to Golden Dragon Villa filled with emotion. Lu Mountain Lord. Lady Lu's divine power is remarkable. I have long heard of Lu Mountain Lord's fame with talisman formation, and seeing it today, it indeed lives up to the reputation. I wonder if Lu Mountain Lord is considering taking disciples, my daughter. At this time, several foundation establishment cultivators stepped forward, cozying up to Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, their expressions and words filled with respect and awe. Before this, although Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge were quite famous, many knew that fame often involved a lot of fluff. Seeing the divine skills of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge today truly shocked and awed them. It probably won't take long for today's events to spread throughout the entire Qingyun region and into the cultivation world of Jiang country. The reputation of the couple from Blue Lake Mountain Lu family will rise yet another level. And the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family will be treated as a false core family, rather than just a common foundation establishment family. However, among these people, one had a rigid and ugly expression. It was the family patriarch from Monkey Mountain of the Tao family. Because of Jin Zan's defeat, it was tantamount to his Monkey Mountain being lost. Due to the duel between Lu Chongqing and Jin Zan, the core formation celebration at Golden Dragon Ridge was wrapped up prematurely. After all, with such an incident, not only did Jin Zan, the great elder of the Jin family, lose face, but the entire Golden Dragon Ridge lost its dignity. If it weren't for having reservations, the ancestor of Jin family even thought about killing Lu Chongqing right there at Golden Dragon Ridge. However, he still adhered to the bet and gave 30,000 spirit stones to Lu Chongqing. noting that moving from Monkey Mountain would require 3 months. Lu Chongqing did not say much upon hearing this. He went to White Tiger Mountain and handed this matter over to his son, Lu Pingon, to take over Monkey Mountain. Ah, won a Monkey Mountain from the duel? Lu Pingon, Lu Qingsong, and others were stunned upon hearing that their father and aunt had gone to the Jin family ceremony and had actually won a spirit land. You know, the Tao family from Monkey Mountain had 2 foundation establishment cultivators stationed there. However, after hearing about the matter, they too were filled with emotion and excitement. The family not only procured an additional spirit vein at Monkey Mountain, but their father's and aunt's powers were now comparable to that of a false core immortal. This is interesting. I remember originally those 3 foundation establishment cultivators who came to our White Tiger Mountain to cause trouble, led by Tao Jizhong, an elder from Dragon Light Commerce Chamber, is actually the foundation establishment ancestor from this Monkey Mountain, and now this family spirit land has become ours. At this moment, Lu Qingsong spoke out with a laugh. Oh, is that so? Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrow. He simply thought Monkey Mountain was geographically advantageous, being close to White Tiger Mountain. He planned it for a second-order middle-grade spirit vein, suitable for the spiritual wine business, and did not remember the matter with Dragon Light Commerce Chamber. However, he didn't pay much attention, and after explaining the situation to his children, he and Lu Miaoge returned to Blue Lake Mountain. Days later, news of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge defeating Jin Zan gradually fermented and spread. Suppressing a false core immortal, really? Even if this great elder of the Jin family has just broken through to false core, lacking magical treasures and divine skills, he's not someone a foundation establishment cultivator can contend with. In my early years, I heard of the deeds of this couple from Lu, thought it was exaggerated. With this couple stationed at Blue Lake Mountain, it's already equivalent to a false core family. Still, it cannot be compared. The couple always needs someone in closed-door cultivation, they can't always be out together. Regardless, Golden Dragon Ridge has really lost face this time. At this time, the topic continued fermenting, causing countless people to discuss fervently, and even many loose cultivators came to join Blue Lake Mountain. And some female cultivators, thinking of getting close to Lu ancestor who loved to marry and take concubines, wondered if they would be thrown out considering his wife, Lu Miaoge, and their ulterior motives. Not only that, this incident also sparked a wave of discussions at Blue Lake Mountain, and many children began to take an interest in the talisman path. Chapter 1089. Dragon Blood Tree, Monkey Mountain. Chapter 1089. Chapter 384. Dragon Blood Tree, Monkey Mountain. Yu Country, Jinyang Sect. Tianyuan Peak. Inside a great hall. Little Zhu, if the foundation establishment doesn't go smoothly, don't force it. Just give up and start over. Don't hurt yourself. As for the foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spiritual objects, brother has plenty. If it's not enough, I'll go to the Fire Luo sect later and set up a competition platform. Lu Qingshan advised aloud, taking out porcelain vials and brocade boxes from his storage bag. After many years of cultivation, Lu Qingzhu has finally reached the perfection of qi refinement and is ready to attempt foundation establishment. Her master, Tianyuan True Immortal, had prepared a set of foundation establishment resources for her. However, in Lu Qingshan's view, one set of foundation establishment resources certainly wasn't enough. He had been saving foundation establishment resources for his sister early on. By now, he had saved up 6 foundation establishment elixirs and 15 foundation establishment spiritual objects. Brother! Lu Qingzhu gave her brother a disapproving look on hearing these words. She hadn't even started foundation establishment yet, and her brother was already saying such things. However, she also knew that her brother was worried she might force herself to break through, resulting in a backlash failure that could damage her vital energy. Although with foundation establishment elixirs, failing the breakthrough wouldn't be dangerous. But if she failed during the process of condensing her Tao foundation, it could still cause some damage, requiring a long time to recover. All right, my little Zhu will definitely succeed. Seeing his sister's indignant expression, Lu Qingshan pinched her fair cheeks and said with a chuckle. He then began to guide Lu Qingzhu in her breakthrough, acting as her protector. Brother, when did you save up so many foundation establishment elixirs and spiritual objects? Lu Qingzhu looked at the porcelain vials and brocade boxes in front of her, feeling moved, and asked softly. It wasn't much effort. I just won a foundation establishment elixir from Gu Yunyang the other day when he challenged me to a duel. The last time I went to the primordial sect, I won 3 foundation establishment spiritual objects in the competition arena, and during the trip to ancient moon immortal city, Lu Qingshan, with eyebrows like swords and eyes like stars, proudly and carelessly said, "So little Zhu, you don't need to feel pressured. For your brother, such foundation establishment resources are really just a trifle." Lu Qingzhu softly responded but said nothing else. She naturally did not believe the resources were that easy to come by. Foundation establishment elixirs and spiritual objects were extremely rare, often priceless. Especially since the foundation establishment spiritual objects prepared by her brother were very suitable for her, clearly requiring a lot of time and effort. How could it be as carefree as Lu Qingshan had said? But she knew that her brother said this so she wouldn't feel pressured. Once little Zhu breaks through foundation establishment, we will go home for a visit. Dad, Mom, Auntie, and Grandfather will certainly be delighted to see us both having established our foundations. Lu Qingshan ruffled his sister's hair, smiling as he spoke. But his heart weighed down slightly when he mentioned Grandfather. Both siblings were not young anymore. Their grandfather, Lu Yuanding, was merely an energy-refining cultivator. Even though he had taken lifespan extension pills, his lifespan was limited. This trip back home could very well be the last time they saw their grandfather. Lu Qingzhu also had some longing for her family. Not long ago, their parents had sent a letter, saying there were new additions to the family. 2 siblings named Lu Qingqi and Lu Qingxian. Immediately, Lu Qingzhu swallowed a foundation establishment elixir and began her attempt at foundation establishment. Congratulations to the host for 70 offspring successfully channeling qi into the body, embarking on the immortal path, and gaining the bloodline effect. Offspring's comprehension enhanced by 3%, with 1 lucky draw opportunity. That day, a system notification rang in Lu Changsheng's mind. 70 at last. Lu Changsheng paused in thought. Nearly 10 years had passed since 50 of his children had channeled qi into their bodies. This was a drawback of selective breeding for better offspring. While the quality of his children improved, the rate of increase slowed down. I wonder if this increase in comprehension will have any noticeable effect. Lu Changsheng looked at the bloodline buff, musing internally. The system had previously granted a 3% increase in comprehension. But he had not noticed any significant improvement in his children's comprehension. Without much further thought, Lu Changxing silently wished, "Drawl, ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the dragon blood tree. Reward has been delivered to the system space. The host can check it at any time." A dragon blood tree? A heaven and earth spiritual plant? Lu Changxing looked at the reward he received, pleasantly surprised. He was always eager for more heaven and earth spiritual plants. After all, with the heavenly longevity technique, for each heaven and earth spiritual plant he could allow a concubine or child in his family to cultivate this technique and solve any talent issues. His mental spirit stirred slightly as he looked at the description of the dragon blood tree in the system space. Spirit plant, dragon blood tree. Grade, 3rd rank. Description: originally a 1,000-year-old iron tree, transformed by the nourishment of a flood dragon's flesh and blood that fell beside it. The timber can be used to forge magical treasures. No special effects. Lu Changxing read about the dragon blood tree. The luminous treasure tree and the 5 elements fruit tree he had received before produced luminous sweet dew and 5 elements spirit fruits, respectively. This dragon blood tree was merely a pure treasure tree. Whom shall I give it to? Naturally, Lu Changxing would not use the dragon blood tree to forge magical treasures. He pondered over whom to let cultivate the heavenly longevity technique with this treasure tree. There were too many concubines and children in the family who needed the heavenly longevity technique. Even with the system, it was impossible to take care of them all. After a moment, Lu Changxing decided to give the dragon blood tree to his son, Lu Xianji. Lu Xianji possessed a 9th grade spiritual root. Without great fortune, he had no chance of foundation establishment in this lifetime. If he could cultivate the heavenly longevity technique, it would be best. However, Lu Changxing decided to give the dragon blood tree to the son not solely because of Lu Xianzi's spiritual root and age. Chapter 1090. Dragon Blood Tree, Monkey Mountain. Chapter 1090. Chapter 384. Dragon Blood Tree, Monkey Mountain. also considered the contribution to the family. This son, albeit quite mediocre, is diligent and earnest in his dealings and conduct. Once told to learn puppetry technique, he devoted himself entirely to it. After entrusting him with the puppet workshop, he dedicated all his time and energy to it. If not for the welfare currently available by Lake Mountain, as the person in charge of the puppet workshop and a Lu family elder, it would be impossible for Lu Xianji to still be at the 6th level energy refinement with the abundance of elixir medicine's resources. Sigh. Lu Chongsheng sighed softly when he thought of this son. Lu Xianji was his first child with a spiritual root, and he initially paid much attention to him. But as the number of wives and children increased, his attention dwindled. And Lu Xianji himself was of an introverted and somber demeanor, always burying himself in work, never boasting about his achievements, barely noticeable within the family. Now that Pingon is almost taking over Monkey Child Mountain, it's a good time to make a visit. Lu Chongxing, not being overly sentimental, informed Lu Miaoyun and then set off for White Tiger Mountain. He was planning to give the Dragon Blood Tree and Heavenly Longevity Technique to his son, Lu Xianji. This Dragon Blood Tree, originally an iron tree, was quite suitable planted on White Tiger Mountain. In the Grand Hall of White Tiger Mountain, Heavenly Longevity Technique, refinement of a lifespan spiritual plant. After hearing his father's words, Lu Xianji was silent for a moment before bowing deeply to Lu Chongxing. Thank you, father. Birth, aging, sickness and death are the natural course of life. I have long let go of any thoughts about foundation establishment, and am quite content with life as it is. Although cultivating this heavenly longevity technique could allow one to break through to foundation establishment and even aim for core formation, for me to achieve it alone and ultimately watch Tiaoer and Xian Yu and others pass away one by one, I truly cannot accept it. So I will not cultivate this heavenly longevity technique. Dressed in a wide blue robe, mature and steady-faced, Lu Xianji said so. The heavenly longevity technique, though excellent, ultimately only confines one to a place, to watch as wives, children, and even siblings pass away one by one. He is unwilling to endure that. Lu Chongsheng was momentarily stunned, not expecting his son to verbally refuse. However, he could understand Lu Xianzi's thoughts. Cultivation is indeed wonderful but also exceedingly harsh. Successful cultivation means watching close friends and relatives die off. This is why many cultivators choose to live alone, unencumbered. He had worried about this matter in his early years, but as time passed, he gradually became indifferent, knowing that birth, aging, sickness and death are the natural courses of human life. All right, if you change your mind, you can always talk to me. Lu Chongxing did not try to persuade or force him. His son was already grown up with his own ideas. Thank you, father. A faint smile appeared on the mature and steady face of Lu Xianji, knowing of his father's partiality towards him. His wife often mentioned that his father favored him, yet being a reserved person, he didn't know how to seek further affection from him. He was very much aware of these dynamics. But he was someone content with his lot, knowing that with his own spiritual root, talent and capabilities, if not for being born in the Lu family and valued by his father's favor, his life would far be worse off in any other family force. Thus, he always harbored a grateful heart, easily satisfied. I plan to go and check out Monkey Child Mountain, and you should also go get acquainted with the situation. Lu Chongxing looked at his son and spoke. Yes, father. Lu Xianji nodded in response. Soon the two made their way to Monkey Child Mountain. The journey from White Tiger Mountain to Monkey Child Mountain wasn't far, about 300 li. In less than an hour, Lu Chongsheng and Lu Xianji arrived at Monkey Child Mountain. Is this Monkey Child Mountain? Lu Chongsheng looked ahead at Monkey Child Mountain, noting its resemblance to Qingzhou Mountain. But instead of the abundant green bamboo of Qingzhou Mountain, Monkey Child Mountain was covered with fruit trees. The spirit boat landed at the mountain gate. Greetings to Lu Ancestor. Greetings to the Mountain Lord. At this moment, at the gate of Monkey Child Mountain, besides Tao family cultivators, several White Tiger Mountain cultivators were present. Lu Chongxing nodded his head, and with Lu Xianji entered Monkey Child Mountain, scrutinizing the situation inside. After a while, Lu Pingon, hearing of Lu Changsheng's arrival, hurried over. Father, Xianji. Lu Pingon, dressed in silver armor, with a tall and imposing stature, conveyed a sense of solemnity and majesty. Pingon, what's the current situation at Monkey Child Mountain? How is the Tao family's relocation going? Lu Chongxing asked his son. Father, the Tao family has almost finished moving. It should be completely done in about half a month. But there are a few matters that need your decision. Lu Pingon spoke. Lu Chongxing asked, "Oh, what's the matter?" According to the agreement you made with the Jin family initially, when Monkey Child Mountain was handed over to us, we were not to damage the formation, spirit vein, buildings, nor the spirit fields and fruit trees. However, it didn't say we can't pick the fruits on the trees. The Tao family is willing to compromise on ordinary fruits, but there are 12 second-rank spirit peach trees on the main vein of the mountain. These spirit peach trees will be mature in about half a year, and the Tao family has expressed that they either pick these peaches now or wait until they mature and take 70% of them. Moreover, with the Tao family leaving, we temporarily do not have enough farmers or spiritual plant masters to take care of the fruit trees. Lu Pingon scratched his head, somewhat troubled. He did not really enjoy interacting and handling such matters. Second-rank spirit peach trees? Lu Changsheng's eyebrows twitched and he spoke. "I'll go have a look." The trio then went to the main vein of Monkey Child Mountain. Lu Ancestor. Seeing Lu Chongxing, the Tao family patriarch bowed with some unease.